Chapter 524. 524 Peak of Lever 3 Martial King Realm. You. Sheng Qiong's eyes were as wide as a dead fish's, filled with disbelief. He had never expected that the defense he was most proud of would be so fragile and vulnerable in the face of Lu Ming's attack. Buzz. As he kept the spear, Sheng Qiong's life force was completely extinguished. Since you want to kill me, you should be prepared to be killed by me, Lu Ming muttered and devoured Sheng Qiong's blood essence. He took away his storage ring and left the place. A moment later, Lu Ming appeared tens of thousands of miles away and entered the supreme shrine. He sat cross-legged and began to refine the blood essence. All the blood essence that Lu Ming had devoured during this period of time was used to improve his 9-dragon bloodline. This was because with Lu Ming's current cultivation, the blood essence of warriors whose cultivation levels were lower or similar to his would not be of much help to his cultivation. He might as well try his best to improve the level of his blood meridian. The refined blood essence could also be used to increase the grade of his bloodline. The 9-dragon bloodline floated above Lu Ming's head. Its winding body was suffused with a bloody light. 6 Silivera chakra glowed with a Silivera light and was resplendent. Half an hour later, the power of the blood essence had been completely refined. Unfortunately, his 9-dragon bloodline still hadn't advanced. It was still at the 6th level of the king level. Almost, I feel like I'm just a little bit away. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He felt that his bloodline of the 9 dragons was just a little bit away from advancing. Let's see how many crystals there are. Then, Lu Ming took out the storage rings of Sheng Qiong and the other 6 youths from the Sheng family and piled all the best-grade spiritual crystals together. 180,000. There were a total of 180,000 supreme spiritual crystals in the storage rings of the 6 young men from the Sheng family. Alright, let's continue to improve our cultivation. Following that, Lu Ming began to refine supreme-grade spirit crystals frantically to improve his cultivation. After reaching Lever 3 Martial King Realm, the amount of energy required to advance was even greater. Lu Ming had refined a total of 80,000 pieces of top-grade spiritual crystals to advance from the early stage of the 3rd level of the Martial King Realm to the middle stage. He refined another 80,000 pieces and advanced to the late Lever 3 Martial King Realm. He only had 20,000 supreme spiritual crystals left. Sheng family, continue. After that, Lu Ming left the supreme shrine and flew in the sky, planning to continue hunting the people of the Sheng family. Since the Sheng family was hunting him, he would hunt them back. 2 hours later, Lu Ming killed 5 Sheng family youths in a forest. One of them was a lower-tier Martial King Realm advanced stage martial artist. This time, Lu Ming received 150,000 pieces of top-grade items. After finding a place, Lu Ming continued to refine supreme-grade spirit crystals. Not long after Lu Ming left, more than a dozen figures appeared in the sky above the forest. They were Shengyu and the others. At this moment, Shengyu's eyes were extremely cold, and the strong killing intent almost materialized. Damn it! Could it be that Lu Ming, that little bastard, did it? You should die, Shengyu said in a cold voice. No matter who did it, they must die. Now, call a group of people to act as bait and lure the enemy out. You guys follow me and lie in ambush in the surroundings. Then, Shengyu ordered. Then, the dozen of them scattered and disappeared into the sky. At this moment, Lu Ming was fully focused on refining the supreme-grade spirit crystal. Not long after, another 80,000 pieces of spiritual crystals were refined. Lu Ming's cultivation had broken through to the peak of the 3rd level of the Martial King Realm. After that, Lu Ming refined the remaining 70,000 pieces of spiritual crystals and raised his cultivation to the limit of the peak of the 3rd level of the Martial King Realm. The next step was to break through to the 4th level of the Martial King Realm. Once he reached Lever 4 Martial King Realm, he would be a king tier in the lower tier. However, he didn't know how many supreme spiritual crystals he would need to break through to the lower tier. Sheng family, you'll be responsible for all the top-grade spiritual crystals I need. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. He then left the supreme shrine and flew in the sky in search of the Sheng family. Half an hour later. The Sheng family. Lu Ming looked ahead. In front of him, There were 5 young men of the Sheng family flying at a high speed in the sky. Lu Ming. That's Lu Ming. Surround him, don't let him escape. The 5 youths from the Sheng family surrounded Lu Ming. The person in the lead was someone Lu Ming was familiar with, Shengjiang. Lu Ming, where can you run to now? Shengjiang's face was gloomy. Run? Why should I run? With you guys giving me crystals, why would I run? Lu Ming smiled faintly. What do you mean by that? Shengjiang's eyes turned cold, and killing intent burst out. He shouted, could it be that you killed those 2 groups of people? Lu Ming smiled but did not say anything. It was considered a silent agreement. Damn it, Lu Ming. You've eaten the dragon's gallbladder. How dare you kill so many heroes of the Sheng family? Let me tell you, no one can save you. Even if the palace master comes forward, you're dead. Shengjiang roared in anger. Mph, your Sheng family is bent on killing me. Can't I fight back and wait to be killed by you? How laughable. As long as I kill all of you, who will know that I did it? Lu Ming snorted coldly, his eyes flashing with killing intent. Lu Ming, who can you kill? At this time, an angry roar sounded in the sky. In the clouds high up in the sky, the sound of air breaking rang out, and Tuileries figures appeared. The leader was Saint Jade, and beside him was a lower-tier King Tyr, a peak lever 4 martial King Realm expert. Behind them, the Holy Sky, Holy Power, and Holy Wind were all among them. A group of people spread out in all directions and blocked all of Lu Ming's escape routes. Lu Ming's gaze changed slightly. So you're trying to lure me out? It's too late to know now. This time, I won't let you escape. Sheng Yu's eyes were filled with killing intent, and a terrifying aura emanated from him. Peak lever 5 martial King Realm. Lu Ming's gaze turned extremely solemn. There was a small divide between lever 3 and lever 4 martial King Realm. Although there was a 1-level difference in cultivation, there was at least a 2-level difference in combat strength. As for the peak of the lever 5 martial King Realm, it was undeniable that he was even more powerful and Lu Ming could not defeat him. You guys work together to set up a formation to prevent him from escaping. I'll kill him. You're looking for death. Sheng Yu had just given the order, but before he could finish, he roared. That was because Lu Ming had suddenly made a move. Whoosh, whoosh. The spear radiance pierced through the air. A total of more than 10 spear radiances stabbed at more than 10 young men from the Sheng family. With Lu Ming's current cultivation at the peak of the 3rd level of the Martial King Realm, no one below the lower tier of the Martial King Realm could resist his fierce attacks. Even if the young men of the Sheng family were all prepared to defend, it was still not enough. Blood splattered everywhere and screams were heard. In an instant, 10 young men of the Sheng family were pierced by the spear radiance and fell to the ground while screaming. Among them were Saint Wind and Saint Might. On the other hand, as Sheng Kong's cultivation was weak, he had been standing at the back earlier and thus managed to escape. However, at this moment, his face was pale and his body was trembling non-stop. Watching the 10 geniuses of the Sheng family who were stronger than him being killed, Sheng Kong was so scared that he almost peed his pants. He retreated frantically. Ah, damn it, die, die, die. The Saint Jade roared hysterically, and a terrifying aura burst out of her body. A crystal clear and terrifying blade light slashed at Lu Ming. Clang. Lu Ming blocked it with his long spear, but he was struck by the saber and his body trembled. Kill, kill. The Saint Jade sword had the advantage. The sword gleams behind it swept toward Lu Ming like a storm, completely drowning him. Lu Ming did not even have the chance to escape. Chapter 525. 525 Chapter 525 Desperate. True Dragon Strike. Lu Ming thrust his spear forward and a 3-colored true dragon flew out. However, it was instantly dispersed by the Saint Jade's saber flare. Saint Jade had always been a monstrous genius, and in terms of combat strength, a Lever 5 Martial King was 3 levels higher than a Lever 3 Martial King. Lu Ming was no match for him at all and was at a disadvantage. Kill. Kill. Shengjiang and another peak Lever 4 Martial King realm expert surrounded Lu Ming. Both of them were geniuses at the peak of the 4th level of the Martial King realm. When they unleashed their full power, Their combat strength was extremely terrifying. They posed a fatal threat to Lu Ming. With the three of them working together, Lu Ming was completely overwhelmed by the storm of attacks. 9 Dragon Bloodline, Devour. Second Bloodline, Activate. Lu Ming was also going all out, using all his means. Roar. The bloodline of the 9 dragons roared, and the devouring power burst out. This made the faces of the 3 people change slightly, because they felt the power of their blood essence in their bodies fluctuate. Naturally, their combat strength was also reduced. If not for this, Lu Ming would not have been able to withstand it. What do? We can't continue like this. Lu Ming's mind was racing. At this moment, if Lu Ming were to use the extreme blow, he was confident that he could kill one of the 2 lever 4 martial king realm martial artists. However, to use the extreme blow, he would need to unleash most of his power in an instant and would be weakened for a while. It might only last for a few breaths, but it would still be fatal. A figure like Saint Jade would never let go of any opportunity. If he were to use an extreme blow on the Saint Jade, Lu Ming was not confident that he could kill it. After all, the difference was too great. Die, Lu Ming, die. In the distance, Sheng Kong growled and showed a happy expression. No matter how talented he was, he had to die if he dared to offend the Sheng family. Boom. Boom. Lu Ming fought with all his might and blocked more than 10 moves in a row. His body trembled and his qi and blood churned. He was not careful and got a knife in his back, causing blood to flow. Dandan, smash. Lu Ming suddenly patted Dandan. Buzz. It glowed and expanded rapidly, flying towards the Saint Jade and smashing it head-on. Sheng Yu's expression changed greatly. With a wave of his hand, a large net appeared out of thin air. It shone brightly and covered the sky as it enveloped Dandan. Obviously, Dandan didn't expect the other party to suddenly throw out a large net. She wanted to retreat, but it was too late and she was caught by the large net. Dandan rushed here and there, but for a moment, she couldn't get out. Lu Ming's expression changed. He did not expect that the other party would take out a large net and Dandan was restrained by such a large net. Dandan was not afraid of any energy-type things, but she could not rush through physical things. Haha, let's see what other tricks you have. Die. Sheng Yu laughed wildly. In fact, he was extremely shocked. It was unbelievable that Lu Ming could withstand so many moves from the 3 of them. The one who was most shocked was still Sheng Jiang. Previously, when Lu Ming had just arrived at Tianqian City, he had attacked Lu Ming. At that time, although Lu Ming was not weak, there was still a long way to go before he could compare to him. But now, Lu Ming's combat strength had already surpassed him. How was this possible? How long has it been? This was too terrifying. Kill, we must kill this little bastard, this monster. Sheng Jiang roared in his heart, and his attacks became even more fierce. Lu Ming's chest was hit and blood spurted out. You want to kill me? Dream on. Lu Ming roared, a ruthless look flashing in his eyes. Buzz. The long spear trembled and all of Lu Ming's strength surged towards the long spear. With a twist of his body, his spine drove the spear like a dragon, turning into a spear light and piercing toward the holy river. An extreme strike. Now, he could only risk his life. Whoosh. A Gakudo path attack could penetrate everything. Sheng Jiang instantly felt cold all over, and his hair stood on end, as if the god of death was approaching him. Retreat, retreat, retreat. Sheng Jiang roared and retreated desperately. He knew that if he didn't retreat, he would die. However, at the next moment, he realized that it was useless to retreat. Lu Ming's spear was too fast and caught up with him in an instant. No. Sheng Jiang roared madly, his eyes almost bleeding. However, the next moment, Poochie, the pitilessly sharp spear ray pierced through the space between his eyebrows. Sheng Jiang, dead. However, at this moment, Lu Ming's body felt weak because he had used up a large amount of essential core to cast the extreme blow. Although he could quickly recover a part of his essential core, it was already too late. Die, die, die. The Saint Jade attacked Lu Ming madly. The terrifying blade light seemed to be able to split everything. Block it. Lu Ming's eyes widened. He gathered what little essential core he had and set up layers of defense in front of him. At the same time, the devouring power of the 9 dragons' bloodline spread in front of him. Bang! The next moment, Lu Ming was still sent flying and he spat out a large mouthful of blood. A deep wound appeared on his chest. It was so deep that the bone could be seen and it almost split his heart open. The terrifying saber ray burrowed into Lu Ming's body in a frenzy. Lu Ming circulated the true war dragon technique in a frenzy, mobilizing his vital essence to resist. However, the result was that Lu Ming continuously spat out a few mouthfuls of blood and his face turned pale. He had been severely injured by the attack just now. Lu Ming, I'm going to skin you alive and pull out your tendons. The Saint Jade roared. The other peak lever 4 Martial King Realm youth's face turned pale with fear. If that shot had been aimed at him, he would have been the one dead. Thinking of this, he felt a wave of fear. Ha ha, bastards of the Shung family, it's not that easy to kill me. Come on, I'll kill you next. Lu Ming laughed and pointed his long spear at the other peak lever 4 Martial King Realm youth. This made his face even paler, and he couldn't help but take 2 steps back. Not far away, there were 4 other youths from the Shung family. Their faces were also pale as they looked at Lu Ming in fear. Lu Ming's strength had exceeded everyone's expectations. Tragic. This time, the Shung family was too tragic. When they entered the demonic scales dimension, there were a total of 28 people. They were all geniuses and elites of the Shung family. They had spent countless resources to nurture them. But now, only 6 of them were left. It was too tragic. Even if they could kill Lu Ming, they would suffer a great loss. If the higher-ups of the Shung family found out, they would all be punished. No wonder Shengyu was so angry. Little bastard, you won't be able to kill any of them. Heaven-breaking blade technique. Die. Saint Jade roared, and a terrifying blade light emitted from her body. At the same time, his body shriveled up as if all his essence, qi, and blood had been sucked away. As his body shriveled, the blade light on his body became even more terrifying. It seemed as if the blade light could split the sky. The power of the aura was twice as strong as before. Secret skill. What a powerful secret skill. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that the Saint Jade had cast a secret skill. Obviously, this secret technique had a strong side effect. It would extract the essence and blood of the human body, but its power was terrifying. Chapter 526. 526 Chapter 526 Reversal. Retreat, retreat. Lu Ming retreated frantically. He felt a fatal crisis. With his current injuries, it was impossible for him to even use the 9 dragons' heaven treading steps. If Lu Ming were to use the 9 dragons' heaven treading steps, the terrifying pressure from the heavens and earth would probably crush his heart. The wound was so deep that his heart was almost exposed. He could only retreat. Kill. Die. Shengyu roared. He and the blade seemed to merge into one, turning into a terrifying blade light. It pierced through the void and appeared in front of Lu Ming, slashing down at his head. Lu Ming used his long spear to block the attack from above. Clang. The demon-subduing spear began to move rapidly. Lu Ming felt a terrifying force crash into the demon-subduing spear, causing it to vibrate rapidly. The terrifying force numbed Lu Ming's arms and he could not hold the demon-subduing spear. Whoosh! The demon-subduing spear was sent flying. The Saint Jade's blade light continued to slash at Lu Ming's head. Block it! Lu Ming roared. His eyes were bloodshot as he unleashed all his strength. His left hand contained the devouring power of the 9 dragons' bloodline, and his right hand contained the power of the second bloodline. At the same time, the 3 wills were integrated into his hands. Bang! Lu Ming clasped his hands and caught Saint Jade's saber. Boom! The terrifying force sent Lu Ming plummeting to the ground. Boom! Lu Ming stepped on the ground, and the earth gave out a violent roar. The ground was like a wave, shaking violently. Within a radius of 5 miles, it was swept by the windstorm and leveled. Lu Ming's palm was still gripping Saint Jade's saber. Die! The Saint Jade roared and the saber radiance expanded. The saber carried a terrifying power and slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's palms clamped the saber and it actually emitted a sizzling sound and four-colored sparks. Unfortunately, he could not catch it in the end. The saber was still slashing toward Lu Ming's head. Am I going to die here? Lu Ming had a thought. No, I can't die. Lu Ming roared in his heart. At this moment, Lu Ming's glabella suddenly shone with rays of light and traces of lightning swam around. This is the lightning cauldron. Lu Ming had a thought. Ever since Lu Ming had obtained the lightning cauldron, it had been lying dormant in his consciousness. There was no movement at all. Now, at the moment when Lu Ming was facing life and death, the lightning cauldron finally moved. At this moment, Lu Ming seemed to be able to communicate with the lightning cauldron. A wisp of his mind seemed to be connected with the lightning cauldron. He could control the lightning cauldron at any time and launch a fatal attack. Kill. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming controlled the lightning cauldron and blasted it outward. Buzz. In his sea of consciousness, the thunder cauldron let out a sound as if the world was being split open. Then, it flew out. At the same time, a terrifying suction force erupted from the lightning cauldron. At that moment, Lu Ming's true vitality and essence energy were all absorbed by the lightning cauldron. Other than his essential core and essence, Lu Ming even felt that a portion of his life essence had been absorbed by the lightning cauldron. Life essence represented lifespan. In other words, even Lu Ming's life force had been absorbed by the lightning cauldron. Boom. After absorbing Lu Ming's essential core, essence, and life essence, the lightning cauldron flew out from the space between his eyebrows. Clang. Saint Jade's saber was turned into ashes by the thunder cauldron. Saint Jade was shaken and spat out blood. She was sent flying thousands of meters. Buzz. The lightning cauldron flew into the sky and became as big as a mountain. Thunder rumbled, and it was like the might of the heavens. Then, the thunder cauldron pressed down. Endless lightning enveloped all the disciples of the Shung family. Run, run, run. The Saint Jade roared and ran away desperately. Run, run. Shung Kong and the others did the same. They ran away with all their might. At this moment, they were extremely terrified. Never in their wildest dreams would they have thought that such a terrifying lightning cauldron would suddenly appear in Lu Ming's body. They felt as if they were ants in front of this lightning cauldron. No, they were not even ants. They were as insignificant as dust. At this moment, they were extremely frightened. They only had one thought in their minds, and that was to escape. And NBSB, the next moment, the lightning cauldron pressed down, and thick bolts of lightning began to wantonly dance about. Who? After a breath's time, the lightning cauldron shrunk rapidly and flew back to Lu Ming's glabella, disappearing. At this moment, Lu Ming felt extremely weak. His body was empty, without even a trace of essential core. He had lost a lot of essence energy and his body was extremely weak. He couldn't even fly up, and he fell to the ground. This lightning cauldron is too terrifying. Not only does it extract true yuan and normal spiritual essence, but it also extracts life essence. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. A king had 1,000 years of life. However, Lu Ming felt that he had lost 50 years of his life just now. 50 years of life was a huge loss. A wisp of my consciousness seems to be connected to the lightning cauldron. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He realized that a wisp of his consciousness could be connected to the lightning cauldron. In other words, Lu Ming could control the lightning cauldron and launch an attack if he wanted to. However, the next moment, Lu Ming shook his head with a bitter smile. Controlling the lightning cauldron to attack. What a joke. Putting aside the fact that one attack from the lightning cauldron could drain all of his true yuan and essence qi, he would be completely weakened and at the mercy of others. Furthermore, he had lost 50 years of his life at once. Even if Lu Ming was a king, he would not be able to use it many times before his life was exhausted and he died. This lightning cauldron cannot be used unless it is absolutely necessary. However, it can be considered as an additional life-saving method. Lu Ming thought to himself. Buzz. At this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air was heard, and Dandan flew back. Dandan was indeed amazing. Just now, he was also under the cover of the lightning cauldron, but nothing happened to him. Dandan, take me to see if the Shung family is dead, Lu Ming said. At this moment, he was so weak that he could not even walk. Dandan's entire body emitted a faint light, and it trembled slightly. Then, it rapidly grew to the size of a water tank. Lu Ming lay on Dandan, and Dandan carried Lu Ming and flew in all directions. Within a radius of 10 miles, it was a complete mess, with traces of being struck by lightning everywhere. On the messy ground, there were corpses. The remaining youths of the Shung family had all been killed by the lightning cauldron. In a place, Lu Ming saw the body of the sacred sky. What? Lu Ming suddenly saw a figure at the edge of the lightning coverage, crawling forward desperately. The figure was in tatters and all his hair had been cut off by the lightning. However, Lu Ming could tell at a glance that it was a Saint Jade. When the lightning cauldron flew out of Lu Ming's glabella, the Saint Jade was knocked thousands of meters away. It then fled frantically, almost escaping the area covered by the lightning cauldron. Therefore, he suffered the least damage and didn't die for a while. Chapter 527. 527 The Power Upanishad Crystal Vein. Let's go. Lu Ming patted Dandan and she flew towards the Saint Jade. Seeing Lu Ming flying over, Shengyu was terrified. He kept screaming and crawling forward. Shengyu, who's dead now? Lu Ming sprawled on Dandan's body and flew above the Saint Jade, looking down at it coldly. Lu Ming, you've killed so many people from the Shung family. You'll die too. Shengyu roared. He, I don't know how many times you people from the Shung family have said the same thing. I'm tired of hearing it. Lu Ming smiled faintly, his eyes filled with killing intent. Wait. Lu Ming, I'm begging you. I'm begging you not to kill me. I can swear a blood oath that I won't say a word about what happened today. I'm begging you to spare me this once. Seeing Lu Ming's murderous intent, Shengyu was afraid and actually began to beg for mercy. I still believe in the dead. Lu Ming was unmoved. No, don't, Lu Ming. I know that there's an esoteric crystal vein in the demonic scales dimension. If you let me go, I'll tell you the location of the vein. Shengyu shouted. A power Upanishad crystal mine? Lu Ming's heart trembled and his eyes shone. A power Upanishad crystal mine was different from a power Upanishad crystal pit. A pit of intent crystals could only produce a few pieces, or at most a few dozen. However, a profound meaning crystal vein was completely different. Even the smallest profound meaning crystal vein could produce more than 100 pieces of profound meaning crystal. And this was the smallest one. If there were more, there would be no more. This was a huge temptation for anyone. Tell me, where is the power Upanishad crystal mine? Lu Ming asked in a deep voice. As long as you promise me that you won't kill me, I'll tell you. Otherwise, I won't tell you even if I die. Shengyu shouted. You. Lu Ming's eyes flickered and he seemed to be hesitating. Shengyu was on tenterhooks, afraid that Lu Ming would kill him. After hesitating for a while, Lu Ming said, Okay, I promise you. I won't kill you. Tell me, where is the power Upanishad crystal vein? Swear. Swear a blood oath. I'll only believe you if you do that. Shengyu called out. You talk too much nonsense. Since you don't believe me, then go to hell. Lu Ming's killing intent was intense. Wait, I'll tell you. In my storage ring, there's a blue jade card that records the exact location of the crystal mine. Shengyu shouted, then looked at Lu Ming expectantly. I've already told you. You just need to take out the jade token and you'll know. Oh. Lu Ming nodded and patted Dandan. Smash it. Buzz. It shook and smashed towards the head of the Saint Jade. Ah, Lu Ming, you said that you won't kill me. Shengyu roared, but before he could finish, he was hit by Dandan, and his head burst like a watermelon. I said I won't kill you, but that doesn't mean other things can't kill you. Lu Ming muttered. Dandan, can you take off those storage rings? Lu Ming patted Dandan again. Dandan's body trembled and a ray of light emanated from it. It swept up the Saint Jade storage ring and it flew into Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He continued to follow the law and took all the storage rings of the other Shung family youths. Unfortunately, their blood essence was all gone after being struck by the lightning cauldron, so they couldn't devour it. Then, Lu Ming found the demon subduing spear in a pile of rocks. "Dandan, let's quickly leave this place," Lu Ming said. Just now, there had been a great commotion here, and it might have attracted other creatures. Now that Lu Ming was so weak, he would be dead for sure if any scaled demon, Di-Tien divine guards, or corpse guards came. Immediately, Dandan carried Lu Ming and flew into the distance. After flying for tens of thousands of miles, Lu Ming found a rather remote place and entered the Supreme Shrine. There were many bottles and jars in the Supreme Shrine, all of which were high-grade pills that he had obtained from other martialists. Lu Ming picked up the Grade 1 healing pill and took a big gulp from the bottle. There were a total of 9 pills. He swallowed all of them and began to heal. Lu Ming's physical body had already reached complete rank 6 and was slowly recovering. As the medicinal effects spread throughout his body's recovery rate was greatly accelerated. Lu Ming's muscles were wriggling slowly. On the wound on his chest, the muscles wriggled and new muscles grew slowly, covering the wound and finally blocking his heart. Otherwise, one could see his beating heart from the outside, which was extremely terrifying. After the healing pills had been consumed, Lu Ming took out another bottle and swallowed it. An hour later, Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief. His injuries had finally stabilized. This time, it was really dangerous. Lu Ming sighed. To be honest, this time, it was beyond his expectations. He had wanted to kill the Saint Jade after he had obtained more supreme spiritual crystals and reached Lever 4 Martial King realm. He didn't expect to be ambushed by the Saint Jade. Moreover, the key point was that the Saint Jade actually had a net-like spirit weapon on her body, which perfectly countered Dandan and made her lose her effect. Otherwise, with Dandan around, Lu Ming could also break out of the siege. That was why Lu Ming was in an unprecedented danger and was almost cut in half by Saint Jade. If it wasn't for the lightning cauldron, he would have really died. Lu Ming guessed that the thunder cauldron had taken him as a temporary shelter. It did not want him to die, so it helped Lu Ming at the critical moment. In the future, I should be more careful. I can't be careless, and I can't underestimate others. Lu Ming thought to himself. Soon after, he began circulating the True War Dragon technique to recover. Now, Lu Ming's body was empty, without a trace of essential core. The chi cyclone in his dantian had completely stopped circulating and was motionless. Lu Ming continuously circulated the True War Dragon technique, but the chi cyclone remained motionless. However, Lu Ming did not stop. He kept circulating the True War Dragon technique. An hour later, under Lu Ming's persistent efforts, the cyclone finally moved and started to spin slowly. Slowly, a wisp of quintessential essence was born from the vortex. It flowed through Lu Ming's meridians and circulated throughout his body. All right. With a wisp of true essence, things would be much easier. Lu Ming took out a pile of top-grade spirit crystals and started to absorb the spiritual energy in them to speed up his recovery. Just like that, Lu Ming recovered his essential core while healing his injuries. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. 3 days later, Lu Ming's condition had recovered to its peak. The injuries on his body had also healed. Of course, the 50 years of life that he had lost could not be recovered. Lu Ming sat cross-legged, playing with a blue jade card in his hand, deep in thought. This jade tablet was the one that recorded the location of the esoteric crystal vein that Saint Jade had mentioned. Lu Ming had taken a look earlier. There was indeed a map inside. The location of the esoteric crystal vein was marked. However, Lu Ming did not rush there immediately. Is Shengyu really that kind to tell me the location of the esoteric crystal vein? Even if it's for the sake of my life, I have no choice but to be careful of any traps. Lu Ming pondered. Chapter 528. 528 Lever 4 Martial King Realm. Lu Ming pondered in his heart whether there was a trap. However, he was unwilling to give up just like that. It was a profound meaning crystal vein that contained at least 100 pieces. 100 pieces of intent crystals were worth around 100,000 supreme-grade spirit crystals. Although it wasn't a very high price, one couldn't measure the value of intent crystals. On the market, even if you had 100,000 supreme-grade spirit crystals, you might not be able to buy 100 intent crystals. There was a price but no market. And NBSB, moreover, there was an extremely high chance that mid-grade intent crystals would appear in the intent crystal vein. Lu Ming definitely did not want to miss it. Whatever. I'll improve my cultivation first. When I reach lever 4 Martial King Realm and enter the lower tier of King's Realm, there won't be many King's Realm that can kill me. Lu Ming's eyes were shining. Then, he took out all the storage rings of the 17 young men from the Sheng family, sorted out the supreme-grade spiritual crystals in them, and counted them. 820,000 supreme spiritual crystals. In the storage rings of the 17 youths from the Sheng family, there were 820,000 pieces of supreme spiritual crystals. Lu Ming was ecstatic. This was the first time he had so many top-grade spirit crystals. The Saint Jade alone had contributed 210,000 pieces. Lu Ming kept the best-grade spirit crystal happily. He had not checked the other items yet. All right, let's begin the breakthrough. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He waved his hand and 50,000 pieces of top-grade spiritual crystals appeared. Bang! 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 All 50,000 supreme spiritual crystals exploded, and the rich spiritual qi was devoured by the bloodline of the 9 dragons. The endless spiritual qi was transformed into essential core, and Lu Ming began to break through to the 4th level of the Martial King Realm. There was a dividing line between lever 3 and lever 4 Martial King Realm. Breaking through would greatly increase one's strength, but it was also very difficult. 50,000 pieces of top-grade spiritual crystals were not enough. Lu Ming took out another 50,000 pieces. In this way, 50,000 followed by 50,000, Lu Ming had devoured 250,000 pieces of top-grade spiritual crystals in total. Boom! Boom! At this moment, Lu Ming's body was constantly letting out rumbling sounds. The cyclone in his dantian was spinning wildly, and the rich and condensed essential core was like the water of a large river, rumbling and rumbling. 2 hours later, Lu Ming suddenly opened his eyes. In his eyes, 2 spearlights burst out. I've finally broken through to the 4th level of the Martial King Realm. Lu Ming walked out of the Supreme Shrine and appeared on a mountain peak. Boom! Lu Ming circulated his quintessential essence and stomped his foot. The foot full of vital essence stepped on the mountain peak. The mountain peak seemed to be bombarded by hundreds of millions of pounds of weight. It gave out a violent roar and then suddenly exploded. Gravel flew and dust filled the air. It was like the end of the world. With a single step, a 1,000-meter-tall mountain peak exploded into pieces. It was terrifying. Lu Ming floated in the air, carefully feeling the essential core in his body. Lever 4 Martial King Realm is indeed powerful. The strength of the genuine vitality is 7 times that of lever 3 Martial King Realm. However, my combat strength has not improved so much. Lu Ming muttered. An ordinary level 4 lower tier king warrior was 2 levels stronger than a level 3 king. For example, Shengjiang had been a peak lever 4 Martial King, which meant that his combat strength was 2 levels higher than an average peak lever 3 Martial King. However, Lu Ming had broken through to lever 4 Martial King Realm, but his combat strength had not increased by 2 levels. The reason why a lever 4 Martial King was so strong was that his true essence was much more condensed and powerful. Another reason was that he had a will. A lower tier king's intent realm had already entered the 1st level lower tier, which greatly increased one's battle power. However, Lu Ming's will had already reached the lower tier of level 1. Now that he had reached the 4th level of the Martial King Realm, there was no improvement in his will. Therefore, Lu Ming's combat strength had not increased by 2 levels but by more than 1 level. Lu Ming estimated that if he went all out now, he would not be weaker than an early-stage 6th level Martial King. It should not be a problem for him to escape from a peak lever 6 Martial King. When my fire concept condenses an intent rune, my combat strength will increase by a huge amount. Lu Ming pondered. There are still 570,000 pieces of top-grade spiritual crystals. I'll keep them for now. I'll need them in many places after I get out. Now, let's go to that Power Upanishad crystal mine and take a look. Lu Ming turned into a stream of light and flew at top speed to the address marked on the jade card. After flying for about 1,000,000 miles, he was surrounded by boundless mountains. In the mountains, there were many scaled demon tribes. However, the scaled demon tribes here were all large tribes with more than 10,000 members. There were many powerful existences among them. Lu Ming did not dare to have any thoughts of attacking such a large-scaled demon tribe alone. If a late-stage king of the scaled demon race appeared, he would be dead for sure. It's this area. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. According to the marks on the map, it should be in this area. Lu Ming flew high up in the sky and hid in a cloud. He restrained his aura and merged with the cloud. Then, his essential core surged and the cloud slowly flew forward. Lu Ming swept his gaze below. After a wild dash. It's there. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Among the mountains below, there was a small mountain peak that was very strange. The other peaks were covered in lush green grass and trees. All the plants on this small mountain peak were fiery red, as if the entire mountain peak was wrapped in flames. This small mountain was the intent crystal mine that Shengyu had mentioned. Lu Ming did not rush out immediately. Instead, he continued to hide in the clouds and drift while observing his surroundings. A moment later, he made a discovery. On a nearby mountain peak, Lu Ming noticed a figure flashing past. Then, Lu Ming sensed carefully. Indeed, there were a large number of martial artists' auras on the surrounding mountains. There were at least 100 of them. These people had concealed their auras. If not for Lu Ming's careful sensing, he would not have been able to sense them. There's a trap indeed. These people are most likely from the Sheng family. That Shengyu really has bad intentions. He tricked me here. If I rush out like this, I'll definitely be blown to pieces. However, what are these people from the Sheng family trying to do by hiding on the surrounding mountains? Who are you waiting for? Lu Ming's eyes flickered and various thoughts flashed through his mind. Immediately, he restrained his aura with all his might and tried not to emit any aura to avoid being discovered by the Sheng family. Lu Ming controlled the cloud and circled in the sky of this area, waiting. On one of the mountain peaks, under an ancient tree, there were a few young figures sitting cross-legged. What the hell is this? Why isn't that Shengyu here yet? It's already past the agreed time. One of the tall young men said unhappily. I've received news that that guy is chasing after a guy named Lu Ming. He's fighting to make a contribution in front of the young master of Xingchen. Another young man with a pale face sneered. That guy, Shengyu, just wants to flatter young master Xingchen every day. Forget it, it's not a big deal to lose a few dozen people from his side. He can come or not. The tall young man snorted. Then, they started to talk about other things in low voices. Chapter 529. 529 Chaotic Battle. Time flew by. A day passed in the blink of an eye, but there was no movement at all. When night fell on the second day, a series of ear-piercing sounds came from afar. Those are the people of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. In the distance, at least 50 coffins were flying over. It seems that these people from the Sheng family are here to ambush the people from the Heavenly Corpse sect. Interesting. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Buzz. And NBSB. Whoosh. More than 50 coffins headed toward the intent crystal mine. In the next moment, they were all floating above the Power Upanishad crystal mine. And NBSB, KAKA. Some shrubs opened up, and a few corpse guards in black robes walked out. Hey, it seems like the news was right. There's an intent crystal lode here. A corpse guard let out a cold laugh. Let's start digging, the other corpse guard said. At this moment, a sudden change occurred. Around the esoteric crystal mine, inscriptions suddenly appeared and shone with a bright light. In an instant, it formed a huge light shield, enveloping the people of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Not good, it's an inscription formation, retreat. A corpse guard shouted and controlled the refined corpse to rush out. Whoosh, whoosh. Light swords suddenly appeared on the light shield and stabbed at the corpse guard and the refined corpse. Boom, boom. The sound of an explosion rang out, and the corpse guard and refined corpse were blasted back. Buzz, Buzz, buzz. At this time, figures rushed out from the surrounding forest. More than 100 figures surrounded the people of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Ditien Divine Guards. Damn it, you're from the Shung family? We've been tricked. A corpse guard roared. It's too late for you to know now. You scumbags of the Heavenly Corpse sect, just become my reward. In the Shung family, the tall young man laughed. Obviously, they were the leaders of the Shung family. Charge out. A corpse guard roared. And NBSB, KAKA. More than 50 refined corpses appeared from the more than 50 coffins, and their chains shot toward the shield. Control the array and kill those bastards from the Heavenly Corpse sect. In the Shung family, the pale-faced young man gave the order. Immediately, 36 people flew around the inscription formation. True essence gushed out, controlling the inscription formation to attack. As the inscriptions fought, the light became even more dazzling. Beams of sword chi formed and attacked the Heavenly Corpse sect and the refined corpses. Boom, boom. For a time, the rumbling sounds continued. Something's wrong. At this moment, the young man with a slightly pale face spoke. What's wrong? The tall young man asked. The number of corpse guards is not right. There are only 20 corpse guards in the array. Although there are 50 coffins, there was only one refined corpse in each coffin just now. The young man with a pale face frowned. Then, his eyes suddenly flashed and he shouted, Not good, only a portion of the Heavenly Corpse sect's people have entered. What? The tall young man was stunned. Hey, Sacred Hawk, your brain is still as nimble as ever. At this time, a cold laugh suddenly came from the sky. Buzz. And NBSB, whoosh. From all directions, the sound of air breaking came, and corpse guards in black robes appeared one after another. In all 4 directions, there were at least 30 corpse guards. Each corpse guard was followed by 2 or even 3 refined corpses. They formed an encirclement, surrounding the Shung family in the middle. Everyone from the Shung family turned pale. Here. A corpse guard with a black mole between his brows sneered as he looked at the people of the Shung family. When I received the news, I felt that it was a little strange. Just in case, I called a group of people to go first. As expected, this is a trap set by your Shung family. It's not that easy to kill us. PH, so what if you all know? A portion of your men will be trapped in the formation. If you lose a portion of your men, you'll still die. The young sacred eagle with a slightly pale face said coldly. Oh, really? Today, you are the ones who will die. Kill. The eyes of the corpse guard with the mole flashed with violence and killing intent as he roared. Kill. Kill. The corpse guards roared as the refined corpses waved their chains and charged at the Shung family. Kill. The sacred eagle also roared, and a violent aura spread out from its body. Its arms shook, and like a goshawk, it charged toward the corpse guard with the mole between its eyebrows. His powerful strength was on full display. His cultivation was at the middle stage of the Lever 6 Martial King realm. Kill. The corpse guard with the mole between his eyebrows shouted coldly. Beside him, 2 refined corpses, both at the middle stage of Lever 6 Martial King realm, charged toward the sacred eagle. At the same time, the young man with the mole between his eyebrows also charged toward the sacred eagle. The combat strength he displayed was also very terrifying. He was also a middle-stage Lever 6 Martial King. Boom. Boom. With a few explosions, the sacred eagle fought 2 refined corpses and a corpse guard of the same level alone, not at a disadvantage at all. In terms of combat strength, the geniuses of the Shung family had the upper hand. The Heavenly Corpse sect's advantage was their refined corpses. They had a large number of refined corpses, and they were invulnerable and unafraid of death. Boom. Boom. And NBSB, explosions continued to ring out as the 2 sides engaged in an intense battle. The corpse guards in the inscription formation also controlled the refined corpses to attack the inscription formation. However, in a battle of inscriptions, they were very strong and couldn't be broken in a short time. I didn't expect that I would be caught up in a great battle. Lu Ming restrained his aura and stood still, watching quietly. Bang. Bang. And NBSB, at this moment, The ground around the intent crystal mine began to rise and fall. Black panther-like demonic beasts emerged from the ground, and as they waved their claws, the ground began to crack. Not good, these demonic corpses are trying to destroy the foundation of the formation. The sacred eagle shouted. Attack those demon corpses. The tall young man from the Shung family shouted. Originally, the 36 youths of the Shung family who were controlling the formation could no longer care about controlling the formation. They started to attack the demonic corpses. However, because the formation base had already been partially destroyed, the power of the inscription formation had been greatly weakened. In the formation, the refined corpses attacked even more crazily, causing the formation to shake violently as if it was going to collapse at any moment. Damn it! The sacred eagle growled. Die. The corpse guard with the mole controlled the refined corpse and attacked the sacred eagle. The two corpse guards blocked in front of him and attacked fearlessly. The sacred eagle's attack landed on the refined corpse, but it could only leave a slight wound. The corpse guard itself hid behind it and attacked coldly. Ah! At this moment, someone cried out. Someone from the Shung family had been killed. Attack the corpse guards, don't fight with the refined corpses. The sacred eagle roared. Boom! At this moment, the inscription formation below completely collapsed. The corpse guards and refined corpses inside the formation rushed out madly and joined the battle. All of a sudden, the Shung family was at a complete disadvantage. From time to time, the experts of the Shung family would be killed. However, the Heavenly Corpse sect was not having a good time either. The Heavenly Corpse sect's corpse guards were relatively weak, and in a chaotic battle, they were easy to be ambushed. Therefore, corpse guards of the Heavenly Corpse sect were killed from time to time. Chapter 530. 530 Lu Ming takes action. As long as the corpse guard of the Heavenly Corpse sect died, the refined corpse he controlled would become useless. Therefore, the people of the Shung family attacked the corpse guards with all their might. Kill, kill, kill. Both sides were already in a killing frenzy. Energy burst out, iron chains crossed the sky, and blood chi filled the air. People were constantly killed and fell to the ground. But overall, the Shung family was at a complete disadvantage. Soon, dozens of people were killed. The Shung family had a total of 100 or so people, while the Heavenly Corpse sect only had 50 corpse guards. Each corpse guard had 2 to 3 refined corpses, so their total number was close to 200. Kill. The sacred eagle wore a pair of spirit weapon gloves, and its claw radiance was shocking. Its claws continuously slashed out as if it could tear everything apart. However, the 2 refined corpses held him back tightly. Behind him, the corpse guard with the mole on its forehead kept launching sneak attacks. Damn it! The sacred eagle's eyes were red with killing intent. It howled to the sky and rushed over, ignoring the iron chains that were coming at him. Poochie! A metal chain pierced through his shoulder. The sacred eagle screeched and took the opportunity to rush past the 2 refined corpses and rush toward the corpse guard with the mole between its eyebrows. Die! The sacred eagle's figure was as fast as lightning, and its claws pierced through the void, clawing at the corpse guard's heart. A trace of shock flashed through the eyes of the corpse guard with the mole between his eyebrows. He madly slashed out with the saber in his hand, trying his best to block the sacred eagle. As long as he could block the sacred eagle's attack, the 2 refined corpses would be able to arrive. However, the battle power of the corpse guard itself was not high to begin with, and how could it compare to a genius like sacred eagle? The corpse guard with the mole between his eyebrows tried his best, but he still couldn't block it. With a phut, blood splattered everywhere. One of his arms had been torn off by the sacred eagle. At this moment, the 2 refined corpses arrived. Kill, kill, kill him. The corpse guard with a mole on its forehead roared. The 2 corpse guards fearlessly charged towards the sacred eagle. Sacred Hawk's shoulder had been pierced by the iron chain, so his strength had been weakened a little. He could only try his best to resist. Ah! At this time, a shocking scream was heard. Sheng Chong! The sacred eagle roared. This time, there were 3 people in the Sheng family who had reached Lever 6 Martial King realm. Sheng Ying, that tall young man, and Sheng Chong. However, The Heavenly Corpse sect also had 3 Lever 6 Martial King Realm Corpse Guards and 7 refined corpses. At this moment, Sheng Chong was surrounded by 3 refined corpses of Lever 6 Martial King Realm. In the end, he was pierced by the chains and turned into a sieve. With the fall of a Lever 6 Martial King, the morale of the Sheng family was greatly reduced. More and more people were killed. In total, more than 50 people had died on the spot. Retreat, retreat! The sacred eagle roared. If this continued, the Sheng family would probably be completely annihilated. It's not that easy to leave. The corpse guard with a mole on its forehead was furious. The corpse guards continued to control the refined corpses and kill the members of the Sheng family. The remaining 50 or so people of the Sheng family gathered together and rushed in one direction. The people of the Sheng family gathered together and wanted to retreat. Even the people of the Heavenly Corpse sect could not stop them. After leaving behind a few more corpses from the Sheng family, he successfully broke out of the encirclement and ran into the distance. Scumbag of the Heavenly Corpse sect, I, Sacred Hawk, will remember this debt. The voice came and the person disappeared. At least you guys escaped quickly. The corpse guard's eyes were filled with fire as he continued, hurry up and collect the corpses of the Sheng family. Bring them back and refine them into refined corpses. Also, hurry up and dig out the intent crystals in this mountain. The mole-faced young man ordered loudly. When the Sheng family returned, they would definitely send reinforcements. They had to hurry up. The remaining corpse guards quickly moved. Meanwhile, the corpse guard with a mole on his eyebrows stood in the air and circulated his cultivation technique to heal his injuries. His arm had been torn off by the sacred eagle just now, and his vitality was greatly damaged. He didn't even notice that a cloud was slowly floating above his head. Lu Ming was hidden in the cloud. Lu Ming's eyes flickered with a cold and murderous intent. Yes, he was going to make a move. Among these corpse guards, only a few at the Lever 6 Martial King realm were a threat to him. As long as he killed a few of them with a thunderous attack, the rest of the corpse guards were nothing to be afraid of. In particular, Lu Ming would not miss such a good opportunity. Without a sound, the demon subduing spear appeared in his hand. The next moment, Gakudo path attack. Lu Ming turned into a ray of spear light and shot towards the corpse guard with a mole at the center of its eyebrows from the cloud at a terrifying speed. Ah, not good. The corpse guard with a mole on its forehead was suddenly alarmed, but it was too late. Poochie. The head of the corpse guard with the mole between his eyebrows exploded. He was killed by Lu Ming in one move. Not good, enemy attack. The other corpse guards reacted and roared in shock and anger. They controlled the refined corpse and pounced at Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming used the 9 dragons' heaven treading steps and rushed into the sky. With a wave of his hand, the lightning in the sky gathered. Die. Lu Ming sent his palm down, and lightning filled the sky, striking the corpse guards below. No matter if it was a corpse guard or a refined corpse, they were all extremely afraid of lightning. The corpse guards below the king level screamed as they were struck by the lightning. A large amount of corpse chi was released from their bodies, and they fell to the ground and died. And although the corpse guards that were at the king tier and above didn't die, they suffered injuries of varying degrees. Kill. Lu Ming held his long spear and charged into the group of corpse guards. He deliberately avoided the 2 Lever 6 Martial King Realm corpse guards and their refined corpses, and focused on killing the Lever 4 and Lever 5 Martial King Realm corpse guards. Lu Ming's 9 dragons' heaven stomping steps was so fast that he easily dodged the refined corpses and attacked the corpse guards. This made the corpse guards' refined corpses useless. Damn it, damn it. The 2 Lever 6 Martial King Realm corpse guards were furious. Scumbags of the Heavenly Corpse sect, die. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He thought of old Zhuang and the other 49 people who came with him from the east. He had once vowed to avenge them. Whoosh, whoosh. The spear radiance stabbed out violently, and another 2 people were killed. Retreat, you guys retreat, we'll kill him. A Lever 6 Martial King Realm corpse guard shouted. The 2 Lever 6 Martial King Realm corpse guards controlled the 5 refined corpses and surrounded Lu Ming. They waved the iron chains in an attempt to block Lu Ming's escape. The other 3 lower-tier king-level corpse guards quickly retreated. As for the corpse guards below the king tier, they were all dead. In the battle with the Shung family just now, the Heavenly Corpse sect had only lost a dozen corpse guards, and there were still over 30 people left. But now, in the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had killed 5 of them. Lu Ming was simply their nemesis. The main thing was that the corpse guard with the mole between his eyebrows had been killed by Lu Ming in one move. No one could hold Lu Ming back. That was why Lu Ming had killed so many people as if he was cutting melons and vegetables. "I'll kill you now." Lu Ming stared at the 2 lever 6 Martial King corpse guards. The long spear swept out and broke the chains around him. Dandan, smash. The next moment, Lu Ming patted Dandan. Buzz. Dandan directly flew out, rushing through the iron chains, and smashed a corpse guard's head. Chapter 531. 531 Middle Grade Fire Type Intent Crystal. Bang! That corpse guard was accurately hit in the face by Dandan, and instantly, that pale face was completely deformed and twisted together. Such a miserable state made it difficult for the corpse guard to concentrate. The 2 refined corpses paused for a moment, like wood. Just this one moment was enough. Lu Ming's figure dashed past and charged at the corpse guard. "Ah!" That corpse guard shouted loudly. Sensing danger approaching, he wanted to control the refined corpse to return and help while retreating at the same time. But it was too late. Poochie. Lu Ming's shot pierced through the corpse guard's heart. A corpse guard at the early stage of the lever 6 Martial King realm had died. As soon as he died, the 2 refined corpses he was controlling stopped in the air. The remaining lever 6 Martial King realm corpse guard had wanted to help, but upon seeing this, he retreated frantically. He controlled the 3 corpse guards to tightly surround him. Lu Ming's eyes flickered, but he did not pursue. Once a corpse guard controlled the refined corpse to defend with all its might, it would be more difficult to kill. Only like just now, with the momentum of a thunderbolt, catching them off guard, could he easily kill those corpse guards. The 4 corpse guards took the 9 refined corpses and fled madly, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The final winner of this battle was Lu Ming. This was only possible after Lu Ming had broken through to the lower tier of the king tier. Before that, he would not have been able to do it. Seal the corpse guard's soul first. With a wave of his hand, dozens of soul-sealing crystals appeared. Under the control of Lu Ming's quintessential essence, they flew toward the corpse guard's corpses. Then, Lu Ming injected his quintessential essence through the air and the soul-sealing crystals glowed, sealing the corpse guard's souls into the soul-sealing crystals. When it was over, Lu Ming waved his hand and dozens of soul-sealing crystals flew back into his hands. Lu Ming's face was filled with joy. Just the corpse guard's souls in these soul-sealing crystals alone would be able to obtain many rewards. Then, Lu Ming's figure flashed and he took off all the storage rings of the Shung family and corpse guards. Of course, he also devoured the blood essence of the Shung family. So many storage rings. How many spiritual crystals are there? Lu Ming's heart was burning and his eyes flashed with excitement. However, now was not the time to think about this. The esoteric crystal vein had not been excavated yet. Lu Ming did not have much time left. Whether it was the Shung family or the Heavenly Corpse sect, they would all bring people back. Immediately, Lu Ming took out a huge battle axe and swung it at the small mountain. Bang! Broken rocks flew everywhere, and a large piece of the small mountain was split off. This was an esoteric crystal mine and the ground was unusually hard. If it were an ordinary mountain, Lu Ming's axe could easily split it in half. However, now that Lu Ming's cultivation level had improved greatly, it would be very fast for him to dig. Lu Ming waved his battle axe and hacked continuously. Soon, large pieces of rocks were sent flying. The entire world was filled with a strong concept of fire. Fire concept. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He was short of fire esoteric crystals now. If he could find a middle-grade fire element esoteric crystal, he would be able to make a breakthrough in his fire concept. One piece. Suddenly, Lu Ming saw a fiery red ultimacy crystal embedded in the rock below. Overjoyed, Lu Ming kept the fire-type ultimacy crystals and continued to dig with all his might. And NBSB. Next, more and more intent crystals were excavated. 1, 2, 10 pieces, 20 pieces. As expected of an esoteric crystal mine. There were many esoteric crystals, and the esoteric crystal pit simply couldn't compare to it. 2 hours later, the entire mountain peak had disappeared. Lu Ming had already dug out 300 pieces of intent crystals. Yes, a total of 300 fire attribute intent crystals. He had struck it rich. Lu Ming felt that he had struck it rich. However, he had not found any middle-grade profound meaning crystals. This was Lu Ming's true goal. Lu Ming continued to dig. He dug a few meters deeper into the mountain peak, but there was still nothing. He did not even see a low-grade profound meaning crystal. Is there really nothing? This might be a small mine, but it should still be able to produce mid-grade profound meaning crystals, right? Lu Ming was unwilling to give up and continued digging. Clang. All of a sudden, Lu Ming's battle axe hit a hard stone, but it did not split open. What is this? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Below, a stone the size of a human's head was revealed. The color of this stone was different from the other stones. It was deeper and more fiery red. Lu Ming suddenly thought of the time when he obtained the earth attribute middle-grade profound meaning crystal. Didn't he also find it in a special stone? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He raised the battle axe, his essential core burst forth, and he hacked at the stone. Clang. A crack appeared on the rock. Immediately, Lu Ming changed to the back of the axe and struck the stone. And NBSB, KAKA. The stone cracked, and the cracks spread like a spider web across the entire stone. More and more cracks appeared, and finally, the entire stone cracked. An extremely powerful fire heaven-earth concept spread out. In the middle of the stone, there was a fiery red crystal lying quietly inside. It was crystal clear and dazzling, extremely eye-catching. A middle-grade fire-type intent crystal. Lu Ming looked excited. He used his vital essence and grabbed the esoteric crystal in his hand. Then, he put it into a jade box and kept it. The harvest this time is not bad, not bad. Lu Ming's face was full of smiles. He was very satisfied. Now, let's find a place to condense the fire concept runes. Then, we'll return to Tianxian City to complete the mission. Lu Ming smiled and swept his gaze across the room. With a wave of his hand, the power of thunder spread out and turned the unmoving refined corpses into charcoal. Thereafter, Lu Ming soared into the sky and left the place. 1,000,000 miles away, Lu Ming entered the Supreme Shrine and sat cross-legged, with the path understanding ancient tree's tender shoots placed beside him. During this period of time, the clear spring in the jade box had decreased a lot. There was only a small layer left. The young sprout of the path-understanding ancient tree was even more lustrous, and the aura it emitted was even more mysterious. As for the other branch, it didn't move at all. Lu Ming estimated that the branch had most likely withered completely and could not be alive anymore. Moreover, there were rumors that the same kind of path-understanding tree could only exist once in the world. It was impossible for two identical path-understanding trees to exist. This was the law of heaven and earth. Looks like I'll have to look for some spiritual liquid after I get out. Otherwise, it'll be a miracle if the path-understanding ancient tree doesn't wither, let alone grow. Lu Ming pondered. And NBSB, with a wave of his hand, the fire element middle rank intent crystal appeared. I should be able to successfully form the middle grade intent crystals with the help of the ancient tree of comprehension. Lu Ming's eyes flashed and he squeezed hard. Catcha! The middle-grade profound meaning crystal exploded, and waves of extremely intense fire heaven and earth intent realm filled the entire area. Lu Ming could even see that there were dense threads of intent realm floating around him. Lu Ming immediately closed his eyes and tried his best to comprehend it. All around him, the intent threads continued to enter the space between Lu Ming's eyebrows. Lu Ming's comprehension of the intent of fire increased rapidly. Chapter 532. 532 A Huge Fortune. At the side, the path-understanding ancient tree emitted a mysterious aura, causing Lu Ming's condition to reach its peak. His heart was empty and his mind was clear. His comprehension speed was 10 times faster than usual. The faster the comprehension speed, the more intent threads he absorbed. Lu Ming felt that his comprehension of the concept of fire had reached a limit. Condense. Fire. He shouted in a low voice. A strong fire concept burst out from his body, making Lu Ming look like a burning man. The next moment, the fire concept was completely retracted. It gathered in Lu Ming's sea of consciousness and began to condense crazily. At that moment, the thunder runes and wind runes in his sea of consciousness trembled slightly. A wave of energy emanated and prevented Lu Ming from condensing the fire runes. Nothing can stop me. Condense. Lu Ming growled. And NBSB, with the help of the middle-rank intent crystals and the path understanding ancient tree, the fire intent symbol in his sea of consciousness began to condense with an unstoppable momentum. A moment later, an inch-long intent symbol became fiery red and crystal clear as it floated in his sea of consciousness. The fire concept rune was formed. However, it did not stop. The intent of heaven and earth contained in middle-grade intent crystals was too dense and strong. The price of a middle-grade profound meaning crystal was 1,000 times that of a low-grade profound meaning crystal. This was a clear sign. At this moment, there were still many intent threads that were being absorbed by Lu Ming. In his sea of consciousness, the fire intent runes were slowly growing longer. 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch 2. When a piece of fire element middle-grade profound meaning crystal was completely consumed, Lu Ming's fire element concept rune had actually reached 2 inches in length. First level intent realm initial completion. Lu Ming had actually cultivated the concept of fire to level 1 lower tier in one go. This was all thanks to the stacked effects of the path understanding ancient tree. If it were anyone else, even if they had middle-grade intent crystals, they wouldn't be able to achieve this effect. First level lower tier fire concept. Let's go and see its effect. Lu Ming revealed a look of anticipation. After leaving the Supreme Shrine, Lu Ming flew into the sky. Buzz. As he cast the concept of fire, endless flames appeared out of thin air between the heaven and earth, gathering madly at Lu Ming's palm. A fireball appeared in Lu Ming's palm. It was so hot that it distorted the space. With a wave of his hand, the fireball flew out and then exploded. The hot flames swept across the surrounding 10 miles, as if a sun had exploded. Lu Ming nodded in satisfaction. Now, all 3 intents have condensed into intent runes. How strong will the power of the fusion of 3 intents be? At the thought of this, Lu Ming's heart burned with passion. The demon-subduing spear appeared in his hand and he thrust the spear at a mountain peak that was thousands of meters away. The 3 wills gathered and formed a spear light, which pierced toward the mountain. Lu Ming only heard a soft sound and then saw a big hole that was transparent on the mountainside of the 10,000-foot mountain. 1,000 feet tall mountain peak was pierced through by Lu Ming's spear casually. Lu Ming did not use any essential core in this shot. He purely relied on the power of his will. Strong, too strong. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Lu Ming realized that the power of the 3 concepts was terrifying when they were combined. Lu Ming estimated that it was more powerful than cultivating a single concept to level 1 upper tier. It was close to the completion of level 1 concept. In other words, the power of Lu Ming's intent was already slightly stronger than the intent of an ordinary king at the phenomenal success stage. It seems that the power of the fusion of 3 intents is indeed terrifying. If I'm not wrong, the power of the fusion of 2 level 1 elementary intents is comparable to the initial success of a single intent. The power of the fusion of 3 level 1 intents is comparable to the completion of a single intent. As for me, 2 of my will have reached the first level small accomplishment. If I combine 3, its power will be close to the first level completion of a single will. When my wind will also breaks through the first level small accomplishment, the combination of 3 will be completely equivalent to the first level completion of a single will. Lu Ming speculated in his heart. The breakthrough in the fire concept had doubled Lu Ming's combat strength. Now, Lu Ming was confident that he could kill an early-stage lever 6 martial king realm martial artist in one move without using the extreme blow. Lu Ming could easily defeat and kill a peak level 6 martial king realm martial artist. Of course, it was a different story for those peerless geniuses who could fight above their level. Now, Lu Ming was not afraid of anyone below the level of a king tier. Now, let's go back to Tianqian City. Buzz. With a flash of light, he headed for the exit of the demonic scales dimension. Half a day later, Lu Ming returned to the high wall and headed towards the exit. Lu Ming returned to Tianqian City 2 days later. Following that, Lu Ming came to the third area and walked into a huge mansion. Young master, do you want to rent a house? This place costs 100 top-grade spirit crystals a day. An old man asked. I'll rent it for a month. Lu Ming nodded. He took out 3,000 best-grade spirit crystals and handed them to the old man. All right. The old man had a smile on his face as he passed Lu Ming a jade tablet. Lu Ming took the jade card and walked into the room according to the number on the jade card. After closing the door, Lu Ming sat cross-legged. As expected of a room that costs 100 top-grade spirit crystals. The essence realm of heaven and earth is extremely strong. Lu Ming sensed the environment and thought to himself. He realized that the essence realm here wasn't as good as the Tao Enlightenment Palace in the east, but it wasn't too far off. The heaven and earth spiritual chi here was also extremely dense, several times denser than the eastern sky courtyard he was staying in. Lu Ming sighed inwardly. The powerhouses of the ancient era were indeed extraordinary. They could actually build an entire city into a cultivation sanctuary. It was truly terrifying. Now, let's check it first. Lu Ming waved his hand and more than 100 storage rings appeared on the ground. They were all left behind by the geniuses of the Shung family and the corpse guards of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Lu Ming was already very experienced and interested in counting his spoils of war. He immediately started counting them one by one. He placed a block of supreme-grade spirit crystals, a block of spirit herbs and flowers, a block of forging materials and spirit weapons, and a block of cultivation technique manuals. Also, place a piece of soul-sealing crystal. In the end, all the top-grade crystals were listed. 66 million supreme spiritual crystals. After Lu Ming took a deep breath of cold air, he was overjoyed. 66 million supreme spiritual crystals. Even an ordinary king-level warrior wouldn't have that much wealth. It was probably comparable to the wealth of a peak-tier king. In addition, the various materials, ling weapons, and ling grasses could also be worth a lot of jingsha. Unfortunately, Lu Ming could not find a suitable long spear among all the spirit weapons. Now, an ordinary level 5 spear was no longer suitable for Lu Ming. He wanted to find an upper level 5 spear to use, but unfortunately, he did not have one. There were very few people who used spears. If you have time, go buy one. Lu Ming pondered and then looked at the pile of soul-sealing crystals. There were more than 50 pieces of soul-sealing crystals here. They were Lu Ming's. In addition, there were more than 60 pieces, which he had obtained from the storage rings of the Shung family. Chapter 533. 533 I'll let you see. In total, there were 110 pieces, all of which sealed the souls of the Sky Corpse sect's corpse guards. Among them, Lever 1 Martial King Realm martial artists had the most, with 55 pieces. There were 30 pieces of the second level of the Martial King Realm. Lever 3 Martial King Realm pills, 19 pieces. Lever 4 Martial King Realm, 10 pieces. Lever 5 Martial King Realm, 3 pieces. Lever 6 Martial King Realm, 2 pieces. Those at the Lever 1 Martial King Realm would be rewarded with 2,000 top-grade spiritual crystals. Lever 2 Martial King Realm martial artists would be rewarded with 5,000 top-grade spiritual crystals. Lever 3 Martial King Realm martial artists would be rewarded with 10,000 pieces of top-grade spiritual crystals. Lever 4 Martial King Realm would be rewarded with 20,000 pieces of spiritual crystals of the highest quality. Lever 5 Martial King Realm would be rewarded with 50,000 pieces of spiritual crystals, and Lever 6 Martial King Realm would be rewarded with 100,000 pieces of spiritual crystals of the highest quality. The total reward of these soul-sealing crystals was 800,000 pieces of top-quality spiritual crystals. A big harvest, definitely a big harvest. This time, Lu Ming's total harvest was more than 10 million best-grade spirit crystals. This was a supreme spiritual crystal, not a lower spiritual crystal. And this was not even including the intent crystals. He had struck it rich. Lu Ming had really struck it rich this time. It's a pity that my comprehension of the essence realm of heaven and earth isn't deep enough. Otherwise, with so many resources, wouldn't my cultivation be able to improve rapidly? Lu Ming secretly felt that it was a pity. Next, I'll have to comprehend the essence realm of heaven and earth with all my might. There's also the dragon god's 3 absolutes and the 9 dragons' heaven treading steps. Lu Ming decided on the direction of his cultivation. The 9 dragons' heaven treading steps had both offensive and physical power. It was a divine-level martial arts technique. Lu Ming would not slack off and would comprehend it whenever he had the time. As for the 3 absolutes of the dragon god, Lu Ming would not let his guard down since it was his main method of attack. Now, let's go to the mission hall and hand in the mission. Lu Ming sorted out his thoughts and walked towards the missions hall. There were still many people in the mission hall. Lu Ming discovered that most people were connected to the demonic scales plane. Just as Lu Ming was about to walk towards the counter to accept missions from the cross-scales demon dimension, a cold voice was heard. Lu Ming, it's you. Lu Ming was stunned. He turned around and his eyes turned slightly cold. 3 figures walked toward Lu Ming. The person in the lead was an elder. The Holy Light was the Peak King who had gone to the Eastern Palace, the Holy Light. Behind Sacred Glory, there were 2 young men. One of them was actually Sheng Wushuang, and the other looked like he was in his late 20s. Lu Ming did not know him. The voice just now was from Sheng Wushuang. Lu Ming, you're not dead yet. When Sacred Glory saw Lu Ming, a look of disbelief flashed in its eyes. Sacred Jade and the rest wanted to kill Lu Ming in the demonic scales dimension. Sacred Glory knew about this. He had thought that Lu Ming would have died long ago. Now, Lu Ming actually appeared in front of him in a lively manner. One could imagine the shock in his heart. Could it be that this little bastard didn't go to the demonic scales plane? Or perhaps, Sheng Yu and the others didn't find him. Holy Light's mind was spinning rapidly. As for the fact that Lu Ming had killed Sheng Yu and the rest, he would not even think about it as that was impossible. Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he looked at the Sacred Glory and sneered, as an elder of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, you actually wished for my death. Hee, how laughable. It's a pity that I've disappointed you. Lu Ming's voice spread far and wide, attracting the attention of a group of people. How dare you, kid? What kind of attitude is this? How dare you speak to the glorious God Elder like that? You're being very disrespectful. Behind Sacred Glory, the unfamiliar young man shouted, looking very arrogant. Great disrespect. This old man has been waiting for me to die the moment he saw me. Why should I respect him? Is there something wrong with your brain? Lu Ming chided loudly and looked at the young man from the corner of his eyes. You. The young man was so angry that he was trembling. How audacious. Sheng Yarou shouted, his face extremely ugly. If they were not in a public place, he would have slapped Lu Ming to death. However, there were so many people here. Given his status, what he said just now was indeed inappropriate. He had been firmly held by Lu Ming and he could not find a reason to take action. Lu Ming sneered. He could not be bothered with them and walked toward the mission counter. Buzz. At this moment, the young man behind Sacred Glory caught up with Lu Ming in a big stride and appeared in front of the mission counter before Lu Ming. Then, he looked at Lu Ming with a mocking expression and said, Kid, so you're here to hand in a mission from the demonic scales dimension. Haha, what a coincidence. I entered the demonic scales dimension a while ago and was just about to hand in my mission. He looked at Lu Ming contemptuously and continued, It's not that I want to say this, but this mission is completely suitable for a rookie from the East like you. In my opinion, you're already very lucky to be able to seal the souls of 1 or 2 Lever 1 Martial King Realm Corpse Guards. Which eye of yours saw that I've only sealed the souls of 1 or 2 first-tier Martial King Realm Corpse Guards? Lu Ming looked at the young man, amused. Oh, could it be that there are more than 1 or 2 or 3 pieces? Ha ha ha. The young man laughed in disdain. Who is that person? It looks like Sheng Chuan is going to humiliate him. That's right. This kid is quite bold to talk to the elder of the Divine Glory sect like that. It's normal for Sheng Chuan to seize the opportunity to humiliate him. But he seems quite calm. Maybe he has some stock. What goods? It's just an act. In the surroundings, some people saw that there was a show to watch, so they all gathered around and whispered. Lu Ming had also heard that the young man was called Sheng Chuan. At the side, Sheng Yarou and Sheng Wushuang looked at Lu Ming with cold smiles. Although he could not kill Lu Ming, it was good to see him embarrass himself. Lu Ming looked at Sheng Chuan indifferently and said slowly, "If that's the case, then you should have gained a lot. It's just SOSO. But it's more than you, without a doubt." Sheng Chuan sneered. "Oh. Since that's the case, you can hand in the mission first and let me see it." Lu Ming said indifferently. "All right. I'll let you experience it." Sheng Chuan smiled smugly and waved his hand. A pile of soul-sealing crystals appeared on the counter. Each piece of soul-sealing crystal was covered with a layer of faint black light. With one look, one could tell that all of them had sealed their souls. So many pieces. There are actually more than 20 pieces. More than 20 pieces means more than 20 corpse guards died at Sheng Chuan's hands. It's really terrifying. It seems that Sheng Chuan's cultivation has improved again. As soon as they saw the soul-sealing crystal Sheng Chuan took out, the crowd burst into discussions. "Help me check." Sheng Chuan was even more proud of himself as he spoke to an old man on the mission counter. On the task counter, the old man picked up the soul-sealing crystal and carefully examined it piece by piece. A moment later, all the checks were completed. There are a total of 21 soul-sealing crystals, and all of them have sealed the souls of the corpse guards. Among them, 13 are at the Lever 1 Martial King realm, 5 are at the Lever 2, 2 are at the Lever 3, and 1 is at the lower tier of the Lever 4 Martial King realm. The old man announced. "What? There's even a lower tier king tier at Lever 4 Martial King realm? Even a corpse guard at the lower tier king level died at Sheng Chuan's hands. How terrifying. Corpse guards are difficult to kill. With the refined corpse protecting them and Holy River being able to kill them, his cultivation should have broken through to Lever 5 Martial King realm." Instantly, the surroundings were filled with discussions again. Chapter 534. 534 Disgraceful. Usually, a Lever 4 Martial King realm corpse guard would bring 2 or 3 Lever 4 Martial King refined corpses to guard them at all times. It would be impossible to kill a Lever 4 Martial King realm corpse guard unless it was caught off guard and a sneak attack. But even if it was a sneak attack, it wasn't easy, because the corpse guards spent most of their time hiding in coffins. Also, if one's strength was overwhelming, one could kill the other party with great strength. Sheng Chuan's face was even more smug. The total reward is 91,000 top-grade spiritual crystals. These are the spiritual crystals. Please check them. The old man at the counter took out a jade box and handed it to Sheng Chuan. The surrounding people became even more envious. 90,000 supreme spiritual crystals. For an ordinary low-rank king, this was definitely a huge amount. It was just a single task, but they could actually earn 90,000 supreme spiritual crystals. This was truly terrifying. There's no need to light it. Sheng Chuan was very generous. He took the jade box and put it into his storage ring. Then, he looked at Lu Ming proudly and said loudly, "See, this is my harvest. I sealed the souls of 21 corpse guards. Actually, this isn't much. I believe that I will definitely have an even greater harvest next time. However, for you, this is an unattainable height." Sheng Chuan looked at Lu Ming with great contempt. At the side, Sheng Yarou and Sheng Wushuang were sneering at Lu Ming. They were very pleased to see Lu Ming lose face in public. "It's just this little bit, and you have the nerve to take it out and embarrass yourself. Hurry up and scram to the side, let me do it." Lu Ming's face was calm as he glanced at Sheng Chuan and said indifferently. The disdain in his tone was extremely obvious. "You. What did you just say? I'm such a disgrace. Damn it. Can you take out more soul-sealing crystals?" Sheng Chuan's eyes were burning with fire as he roared. The surrounding onlookers also looked at Lu Ming curiously. What made Lu Ming so confident? Could it be that Lu Ming's harvest was greater than the holy river? Take it out. Hurry up and take it out. If you can't take it out today, I will make you swallow the words you said just now. Hualala. Sheng Chuan was originally shouting angrily, but the next moment, Lu Ming waved his hand and a large pile of soul-sealing crystals on the counter clattered, making Sheng Chuan's shouting stop abruptly. Sheng Chuan's eyes were as big as copper bells, staring at the large pile of soul-sealing crystals on the counter, his lips trembling. All around, the other onlookers were similar. Each and every one of their eyes almost popped out as they stared at the pile of soul-sealing crystals on the counter in disbelief. Sheng Yarou and Sheng Wushuang had similar expressions. They were dumbfounded. It's fake. It's definitely fake. Lu Ming, the souls of the Sky Corps sect's corpse guards are definitely not sealed inside. Lu Ming, are you using the souls of demonic beasts or hunting ordinary warriors to seal their souls to cheat for rewards? How dare you? Lu Ming, you've committed a heinous crime that deserves to be executed. At this moment, Sheng Chuan came to his senses. He pointed at Lu Ming and roared. He immediately pinned the blame of killing ordinary martial artists to obtain rewards on Lu Ming. Around them, the way the others looked at Lu Ming had changed. Some of them believed Sheng Chuan's words. After all, the pile that Lu Ming had taken out was too much. There were at least more than 100 pieces. Could Lu Ming kill more than 100 corpse guards? How was that possible? Idiot. Lu Ming said indifferently. He looked at Sheng Chuan as if he was looking at a fool. Fuck. This made Sheng Chuan's chest ache, and he almost vomited blood. What did you just say? What did you just say? Sheng Chuan shouted angrily. Lu Ming could not be bothered with him. He could not even be bothered to look at him. He turned to the old man at the counter and said, "Senior, please help me check, so that I won't be wronged." "All right." The old man at the counter picked up the soul-sealing jade plates and started to check them one by one. At the scene, everyone's eyes turned to the old man. Sheng Chuan, in particular, wished that the elder would say that Lu Ming's soul-sealing crystals were fake. Unfortunately, he was destined to be disappointed. The old man started to check the pieces seriously. Slowly, the old man's face revealed a look of surprise. Then, the more he checked, the more surprised he was. After half an hour, the elder finally finished checking all of Lu Ming's soul-sealing crystals. Everyone was staring at the old man, waiting for his answer. A total of 110 pieces, all of which seal the souls of the Sky Corps sect's corpse guards. "That's right," the old man said. Whoosh. As soon as the old man finished speaking, the entire place went into an uproar. "They are all the souls of the Sky Corps sect's corpse guards. How is this possible? This Lu Ming, what exactly is his cultivation level? To actually be able to kill so many corpse guards, this is too unbelievable. I heard that Lu Ming came from the east to provide reinforcements. When he entered the city, he had a conflict with Sheng Jiang of the Sheng family. I heard that his cultivation is at Lever 2 Martial King Realm." "Lever 2 Martial King Realm? You're joking, right? A Lever 2 Martial King could kill so many corpse guards and seal their souls. Unless he was extremely lucky and all the corpse guards he encountered along the way were at Lever 1 Martial King Realm, and they were all alone, how could he have killed so many corpse guards?" The crowd's disbelieving discussion came from all around. Sheng Chuan's eyes also widened in shock. All 110 pieces of soul-sealing crystal stones had sealed the souls of the corpse guards. Even if they were all Lever 1 Martial King Realm, the reward he received was much more than his. The old man at the counter announced. A total of 110 pieces, all of which have the souls of the Sky Corps sect's corpse guards sealed inside. Among them, Lever 1 Martial King Realm has the most, 55 pieces. Lever 2 Martial King Realm has 30 pieces, Lever 3 Martial King Realm has 19 pieces, Lever 4 Martial King Realm has 10 pieces, Lever 5 Martial King Realm has 3 pieces, and Lever 6 Martial King Realm has 2 pieces. In total, the reward is 880,000 best spiritual crystals. The old man's eyes were also filled with amazement. Ever since this mission was issued, This was the first time someone had received so many rewards. Silence. The scene was silent. Everyone's eyes and mouth were wide open as they looked at Lu Ming in a daze. A reward of 880,000 supreme spiritual crystals. There were even 10 level 4 Martial King Realm martial arts, 3 level 5 Martial King Realm martial arts, and even 2 level 6 Martial King Realm martial arts. How was this possible? They thought they were dreaming. Impossible, impossible, impossible. Sheng Chuan was completely stunned. He couldn't stop trembling and mumbling. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. What's impossible? I've been working in the Hall of Mission for 300 years and I've never made a mistake. You're suspecting me. The old man at the counter glared at him. The old man's words woke everyone up. Heavens, what did I just see? The reward of 880,000 top-quality spiritual crystals is terrifying. There are 15 pieces for king tiers and above. How did he do it? The Holy River's Lever 4 Martial King Realm piece is really trash in comparison. The surroundings were in an uproar as waves of discussions broke out. Many people even stopped submitting their missions and came to watch the show. Chapter 535. 535 Chapter 535 Slandering. I. Sheng Chuan's face was red with shame, and he wanted to find a hole to hide in. He had only sealed the soul of a 4th-tier Martial King Realm corpse guard. Compared to Lu Ming's smug look, there was a world of difference. There was no way to compare. They were so many levels apart. Lu Ming was right when he said that he was a disgrace. How is that possible? How did this kid manage to obtain such a great harvest? He was even able to seal corpse guards at level 5 and level 6 Martial King Realm? Sheng Chuan couldn't figure it out. How dare you, Lu Ming? What should you do? At this moment, sacred light suddenly roared, and the sound shook the entire scene. Everyone's eyes were focused on the sacred glory, and they were all confused. Lu Ming's eyes flickered as he looked at the sacred glory and said, "What crime have I committed?" "What crime? You can hide it from others, but can you hide it from me? Lu Ming, with your cultivation level, can you kill a lever 4, lever 5, or even lever 6 Martial King Corpse Guard? How was this possible? If you have the ability, tell me, how did you kill him?" Holy Light said coldly, "Hehe, I don't think I need to explain to you how I killed them. Moreover, there's no rule in the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace that requires the Empyrean Heaven Divine Guards to tell me how they completed their mission, right?" Lu Ming said indifferently. "Haha, you're still trying to quibble? Lu Ming, with your cultivation, it's impossible for you to kill so many corpse guards. There's only one possibility, and that is that these soul-sealing crystals belong to someone else. They belong to other Empyrean Heaven's divine guards. He simply deserves to die." Sheng Yao shouted. Everyone present was shocked and fell into deep thought. They felt that what the sacred glory said made a lot of sense. This was the only possibility that could explain why Lu Ming had obtained so many soul-sealing crystals. "How dare you, Lu Ming? You've done something unforgivable. You deserve to die." Sheng Chuan seized the opportunity and shouted. A cold glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. He said coldly, "Where's the evidence?" "Evidence? There's no need for evidence, this is the truth, damn it." Holy Light shouted. "Ha ha ha ha." Lu Ming suddenly burst out laughing and said, "Sheng Yao, is this how you should be an elder of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace? Everything was just your wild speculation, and you want to convict me of a big crime. It's simply ridiculous. According to you, in the future, as long as you don't like the look of someone, you can convict them? Laughable, extremely laughable. Alright then, I'll say that you bullied the Ditian Divine Guards outside of the Sheng family. You're a big bully, and you've forcefully taken a girl. Sheng Yao, how should you be punished?" Lu Ming's voice spread across the entire venue with an imposing manner. "How dare you, you little bastard? You dare to slander me?" The Holy Light roared. "Ha ha, what venomous slander? This is the truth. You should also quickly kneel down and admit your guilt." Lu Ming sneered. "You're looking for death, little bastard. I'll cripple you now." A terrifying aura burst out of the sacred glory, and its eyes were fierce, as if it was about to eat someone. Sheng Yao, are you going to kill all the other Detian divine guards who don't listen to you? Are you trying to get rid of all the other Detian divine guards and dominate the Tianxian region? Are you looking down on martial Emperor Die? Lu Ming circulated his quintessential essence and was ready to escape. However, he shouted and put a lot of blame on the holy brilliance. Little bastard, you dare to slander me. Attack. Sacred glory roared, but for a moment, it did not attack. Tianxian City was different from the Eastern Palace. In the Eastern Palace, he would be fine even if he killed Lu Ming. However, in Tianxian City, there was not only the Sheng clan, but also the Mu clan. On the surface, the Sheng family and the Mu family were still considered good, but in the dark, they were competing with each other. Sheng Yao had a lot of enemies. Not to mention the Mu family, even in the Sheng family, Sheng Yao had enemies. If he did something out of line and was caught by his enemies, he would have a hard time. Therefore, if he attacked Lu Ming in public without any concrete evidence, he was afraid that his opponent would really catch hold of something and use it to attack him. For a moment, his old face turned red, but he did not make a move. He was somewhat hesitant. Damn it, this little bastard, I'll definitely find an opportunity to make him die without a burial place in the future. Holy light roared in its heart. How dare you, Lu Ming? How dare you be so rude to the elders of the Sacred Glory sect? Kneel down and admit your mistake. At this moment, Sheng Chuan jumped out and shouted. Hee hee. Lu Ming only sneered in response. Sheng Chuan gritted his teeth and roared, Lu Ming, I think the Divine Glory Elder has a point. Did you secretly harm the other Empyrean Sky Divine Guards and take their soul-sealing crystal? How about this? I challenge you now. If you can defeat me, I will admit your strength and prove that you have the ability to obtain those soul-sealing crystals. Sheng Chuan said loudly, his eyes rolling as he thought of evil thoughts. Holy Light's eyes also lit up. He looked at Sheng Chuan with admiration, wondering if he was muddled from anger or if this kid was smart. In that case, if Lu Ming still did not accept the challenge, it would mean that he had a guilty conscience. They could use this as an excuse to investigate Lu Ming. If Lu Ming accepted the challenge and ended up losing to the Holy River, needless to say, he would be further convicted. Was it possible that Lu Ming had defeated Sheng Chuan? Lu Ming had just arrived at Tianxian City and was only a lever 2 martial king. How could he be a match for the Holy River? The Holy River had already reached the middle stage of the lever 5 martial king realm. This move could be said to be vicious. Sheng Chuan also saw the look of admiration in Sheng Yao's eyes. He was overjoyed. He thought to himself that he was smart enough to think of such an idea. As long as he did this well today, he would definitely be valued by Sheng Yao in the future. You really want to challenge me? Lu Ming's expression was a little strange. He looked at Sheng Chuan with a faint smile. Nonsense, don't you have ears? Hurry up, do you dare to accept the challenge or not? If you don't, hehe, then your strength is worthy of doubt. Sheng Chuan sneered. Oh. Since that's the case, I'll accept your challenge, Lu Ming said with a cold glint in his eyes. As soon as these words were spoken, a wave of intense discussion broke out in the audience. Lu Ming actually agreed. He actually agreed to Sheng Chuan's challenge. That's really unwise. What unwise? He's riding a tiger and can't back down now. How do you explain taking out so many soul-sealing crystals at once? That's right. He can only blame himself for being too high-profile and not knowing how to endure. If he had endured it just now, he would have lost some face at most. Then, he would have sneaked in to hand in the mission and nothing would have happened. If it were me, I would have done the same. Only by enduring humiliation can I achieve great success. That's right, I was thinking the same. You agree? Sheng Chuan's eyes also lit up with ecstasy. Lu Ming actually accepted his challenge. That was great. Hee hee. The Holy Light sneered. Lu Ming, you can't escape this time. Sheng Wushuang's eyes were filled with viciousness. Let's go. We'll fight on the Divine Guard's battle platform, Sheng Chuan called out. Chapter 536. 536 3 moves. What's the hurry? I haven't received my reward yet, Lu Ming said indifferently. He then looked at the old man at the counter. The old man took out a storage ring and handed it to Lu Ming. Here are 880,000 supreme spiritual crystals. Count them. There's no need to light it. Lu Ming smiled. His storage ring flashed and all the best-grade spirit crystals were transferred into his storage ring. Lu Ming then returned the storage ring to the elder. Hehe, now that I've received the reward, I'll have to spit it out later, right? Sheng Chuan sneered. Oh, really? Don't cry later. Lu Ming pursed his lips. Then, Lu Ming stepped forward and walked towards the Divine Guard's fighting ring. In all the sub-palaces of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, there was a Divine Guard battle platform. Let's go and take a look. The people in the Mission Palace Hall swarmed towards the Divine Guard's battle stage. There were 500 to 600 people. Some of them had even used voice transmission talismans to ask their friends and family to go to the Divine Guard's battle platform to watch. 500 or 600 people walking together on the street naturally caused a sensation. Many people were curious and asked around. After hearing the whole story, they also followed the crowd to the Divine Guard battle stage. The number of people in the crowd increased rapidly, and soon, there were several thousand people. Lu Ming walked to the front of the crowd. When he arrived at the Divine Guard's battle platform, he was a little stunned because he realized that the Divine Guard's battle platform was surrounded by people. It seemed that some people had received the news and rushed to the Divine Guard battle platform first. So many young experts of the Sheng family have come. Yeah, it's no wonder. Not many people dare to offend the Sheng family. It's normal for the geniuses of the Sheng family to come out and take a look. I hope that Lu Ming can withstand a few more moves. I hope he won't die so easily. I've run so far for nothing. Not bad. A series of whispers sounded in the surroundings. The smile on Lu Ming's face grew wider. Buzz. Arriving at the edge of the Divine Guard's fighting ring, Sheng Chuan stepped forward and crossed a distance of more than 100 meters. He jumped onto the fighting ring and looked down at Lu Ming. Lu Ming, hurry up and come up. Lu Ming smiled and walked up the stairs of the Divine Guard's battle platform step by step. He came to the Divine Guard battle platform and stood opposite the Holy River. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, I didn't expect that you would really dare to accept my challenge. I really don't know where you got your guts from. 3 moves. I'll defeat you in 3 moves. Sheng Chuan's smile was full of disdain. 3 moves. Sheng Chuan, you have the nerve to say that. If it were me, I would have defeated him in 2 moves. No, 1 move is enough. I'll beat him into a pig's head with 1 move. Sheng Chuan, if you really defeat him with 3 moves, it'll be too embarrassing. Sheng Chuan, this kid is so arrogant. I heard that he has repeatedly challenged the authority of the Sheng family. Today, you must cripple him and let him know the consequences of offending the Sheng family. That's right, cripple him. At the edge of the fighting ring, some young geniuses from the Sheng family shouted one after another. Their voices were full of indifference and arrogance, as if Lu Ming was a pitiful worm that could be manipulated at will. The smile on Sheng Chuan's face grew wider. He looked at Lu Ming with contempt and said, Lu Ming, did you hear that? This is the consequence of offending the Sheng family. The next stage. Just relying on the mouths of your Sheng family. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Temph, you'll be crying later. Sheng Chuan's eyes were cold. How about this? It's boring to fight directly. Let's make a bet. Lu Ming suddenly said. He still remembered that last time he had a gambling match with Xue Chao, he had made a huge profit, so he naturally didn't want to let go of this opportunity. Bet. What do you want to bet on? Sheng Chuan's eyes lit up. Let's bet on intent crystals, 20. If I lose, I'll give you 20 Earth-type intent crystals. If you lose, you'll give me 20 Wind-type intent crystals. How about it? Lu Ming said with a smile. Earth element intent crystal? You have one. Sheng Chuan's eyes lit up. He had comprehended the creation of Earth. Lu Ming smiled. With a wave of his hand, 20 pieces of Earth-type profound meaning crystals appeared in the air. They exuded a strong concept of earth. He had obtained these earth attribute profound meaning crystals with Han-Man and the rest from the scaled demon tribe in the demonic scales dimension. Lu Ming also had a mid-grade earth attribute profound meaning crystal. After Han-Man and the others were killed by Lu Ming, the profound meaning crystals naturally fell into Lu Ming's pocket. It really is an earth element intent crystal. Sheng Chuan's eyes glowed. Where's your wind type intent crystal? Take it out. Lu Ming said. H. Lu Ming, are you afraid that I'll go back on my word? Sheng Chuan snorted. I'm just afraid you'll go back on your word. Lu Ming said. You. Sheng Chuan gritted his teeth, but he didn't have that many wind intent crystals. Sheng Chuan, I have a few wind attribute intent crystals. I'll lend them to you first. I also have a few pieces here. The young men from the Sheng family on the side chimed in and took out a few wind element intent crystals. Sheng Chuan was overjoyed. He received them one by one and said loudly, Brothers, I'll borrow these intent crystals first. I'll return them to you in a while. From his tone, it seemed like he was about to win. Ian, quickly cripple that brat. I still have to go back and cultivate, the other young men of the Sheng family said. Don't worry, it'll be quick. Sheng Chuan took the ultimacy crystal and returned to Lu Ming. 20 intent crystals, not a single one less. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Now, what he desired the most was the wind-type ultimacy crystal. But 20 is a little too little. Lu Ming's eyes turned to the young men of the Sheng family. His eyes suddenly lit up as if he had thought of something. Boom. At this moment, Sheng Chuan put away the wind intent crystal, and a powerful aura burst out of his body. The aura of the middle lever 5 Martial King realm. Lu Ming, just lose. Sheng Chuan shouted. Boom. He threw a punch and a huge mountain peak appeared in the sky. It was a few thousand feet tall and it came crashing down on Lu Ming. It was extremely majestic. Lu Ming's body was extremely small compared to the mountain. Is this the first level lower tier of the creation of Earth? It's so powerful. Many low-tier king tiers and even martial artists below the king tier exclaimed in shock. Break. Lu Ming let out a long howl and a spear's gleam shot up into the sky, colliding with the mountain. Boom. The spear radiance collided with the mountain, creating a series of rumbling sounds. It lasted for a while before it exploded. The mountain exploded, and the spear radiance also collapsed and disappeared. Bang. Bang. Sheng Chuan and Lu Ming retreated 7 to 8 steps. The difference was that there was a strange smile on Lu Ming's lips, while Sheng Chuan's expression changed drastically. Detestable. Sheng Chuan roared in rage. He was actually forced to retreat by Lu Ming. It was a great humiliation. They're evenly matched. They're actually evenly matched. Lu Ming can actually withstand a move from Sheng Chuan. Unbelievable. It's indeed incredible. I didn't expect Lu Ming's combat strength to be so strong. No wonder he dared to fight the Holy River. Exclamations came from the surroundings. Chapter 537. 537 It's not easy to act weak. Sheng Yarou and Sheng Wushuang were also dumbfounded. This little bastard is too terrifying. How long has it been? It actually grew to this stage. Damn it, damn it. Holy light roared in its heart. Sheng Wushuang's eyes almost popped out of their sockets as fear flashed across his eyes. Sheng Chuan didn't use his full strength just now. Lu Ming can't be his match. Sacred Light took a deep breath and said coldly. Many people nodded in agreement. Sheng Chuan was probably just testing the waters, and Lu Ming had most likely used his full strength. Lu Ming, I only used 50% of my power just now. Now, take this. 1,000 mountains heaven-suppressing fists. Sheng Chuan roared and his bloodline burst out. Without a doubt, it was also a King Level 6 extreme bloodline. At the same time, he punched out with both fists. Boom. Boom. Heaven and earth shook violently as the vast fist shadows turned into tall mountains. There seemed to be thousands of mountain peaks. Suppress. The Holy River roared, and the mountain in the sky crashed down on Lu Ming. Heaven rank martial arts technique, It's a pity that I haven't mastered it. How many levels of strength do I need? First level or half level? Lu Ming was in a dilemma. He had a plan in his heart. He was going to cast a long line to catch a big fish. He was afraid that he would show too much power and scare the big fish away. Forget it, I'll just use 10% of my power first. Buzz. Lu Ming held the long spear and fired. Ah, break, break. Lu Ming deliberately shouted loudly. He had only used 10% of his strength, but he had to pretend that he had used 12% of his strength. The veins on his face bulged, and he screamed until he was exhausted. Boom. One of the mountains that came crashing down was destroyed by Lu Ming. However, the second mountain fell. Lu Ming thrust his spear again and the mountain continued to collapse. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, let's see how many you can defeat. Sheng Chuan laughed and kept punching. The mountains in the sky kept pressing down. Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand. The spear's gleam soared into the sky and turned into a 1,000-meter-long spear, continuously crushing the mountains. Boom, boom. Rumbles continued between heaven and earth. Fortunately, the Divine Guard's battle platform was wide enough. It was 10 miles long and wide, enough for them to fight. Soon, dozens of moves had passed. Lu Ming had destroyed dozens of mountains in a row and then rushed toward the Holy River. Bang! Bang! With every step Lu Ming took on the fighting ring would rumble. In Lu Ming's hands, lightning flashed and a powerful force of lightning burst out. A lower-tier king. Lu Ming, that little bastard, has already reached the lower tier. His combat strength is so strong that he can fight against the Holy River. We can't let him live. We can't let this little bastard live. Holy light roared in its heart. He could clearly sense that Lu Ming's cultivation was at the early stage of the Lever 4 Martial King realm. He was shocked. 15 tons of thunder. Lu Ming roared loudly in the fighting ring. As the spear pierced out, the sky was filled with lightning. The mountains were blasted apart. This move was not a martial art technique at all. It was Lu Ming's random shouting. He had no choice. If he used a martial technique like the Dragon God's 3 absolutes, he would probably kill Sheng Chuan. He could only casually blast out a move and call out a loud name. Damn it, it's not easy to pretend to be weak. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. However, Sheng Chuan was so shocked that he gasped. With a loud cry, he covered his body with black stones to block the lightning attack. As the lightning swept past, the rocks crumbled continuously. How did this happen? The Holy River is actually losing? Nest, that kid is actually this strong. Is the Holy River going to lose? There was another round of intense discussion in the surroundings. Damn it, damn it. Sheng Chuan bellowed continuously, using all his strength to fight Lu Ming. However, Sheng Chuan was already at a disadvantage and was slowly being suppressed by Lu Ming. The two of them exchanged dozens of blows. Sheng Chuan was whipped by Lu Ming's spear. He screamed and flew far away. He fell heavily on the ground and spat out a large mouthful of blood. Buzz! Lu Ming rushed forward and stomped on Sheng Chuan's face, pressing him down on the fighting ring. Sheng Chuan struggled and roared madly, trying to break free, but Lu Ming was stepping on him firmly and he could not break free at all. He was going crazy. It's over. Sheng Chuan knew that he was finished. Lu Ming had stepped on his face in public. From now on, he would never be able to lift his head in the Sheng family. His future was also ruined. Lu Ming, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Sheng Chuan roared crazily. Pa. Lu Ming gave him a slap in response. A slap landed directly on Sheng Chuan's face. Sheng Chuan's scream came to an abrupt end, and he was dumbfounded. How dare you, you little bastard? How dare you slap the face of our Sheng family's hero? You're looking for death. Move your stinky feet away now. I want you to die without a proper burial. The young men from the Sheng family were all shouting. Sacred Glory was so angry that its eyes were burning. What are you shouting for? This is the Divine Guard's battle stage. I should be grateful that I didn't kill him, but what's wrong with stepping on him? Lu Ming swept a glance around and shouted loudly, looking very arrogant. The surrounding young men of the Sheng family were so angry that they almost vomited blood. "Ah, don't stop me, I'm going to kill him," a young man from the Sheng family roared. Lu Ming could not be bothered with them. He looked at Sheng Chuan again and said, "Now, you've lost. Hand over the 20 wind attribute intent crystals." "Little bastard, you still want intent crystals? You're dreaming," Sheng Chuan roared. "You want to go back on your word? Hurry up and hand it over." Lu Ming shouted angrily. "I won't hand it over, what can you do to me? And you want intent crystals? Dream on." Sheng Chuan laughed. You. Lu Ming pointed at the holy river and gritted his teeth. "Ha ha ha." Looking at Lu Ming's expression, Sheng Chuan laughed heartily. However, he could not laugh anymore in the next moment. Lu Ming bent down slowly and took off the storage ring on Sheng Chuan's finger. "You! What are you trying to do? Give me back my storage ring!" Sheng Chuan screamed. "Return it to you? I'm just using my winnings as a bet." Lu Ming smiled faintly. "Give it back to me. 20 intent crystals. I'll give them to you. I'll give them to you," Sheng Chuan shouted. This storage ring was all he had. "It's too late now." Lu Ming's fingers glowed and he kept Sheng Chuan's storage ring. You're cheating, you're cheating," Sheng Chuan shouted. "I'm cheating? Weren't you the one who cheated first? All right, you can leave now, trash." Lu Ming got up and kicked. Sheng Chuan screamed in pain. He flew out like a broken sack and slid 7 to 8 miles away. He fell off the Divine Guard's fighting ring and screamed in pain. "Little bastard, how dare you? You're courting death. Hand over your storage ring, kneel down and admit your mistake, and I can spare your life," the young man from the Sheng family roared in anger. Chapter 538. 538 Doubting Life. After all, Sheng Chuan was a genius of the Sheng family. Now that he had been beaten so badly, they felt that they had lost all their face. A murderous look flashed in Sacred Glory's eyes. It really wanted to rush forward and slap Lu Ming to death. However, this was the Divine Guard's battle platform. As an elder, he didn't dare to make a move. There were some rules that even the Sheng family did not dare to violate. His Sheng clan was the overlord of the Tianqian region, but in the face of the entire Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, they were still like ants. "A bunch of animals, what are you quarreling about?" Lu Ming looked at the youths from the Sheng family and berated them loudly. He was as arrogant as he could be. Damn it. The heroes of the Sheng family were so angry that their eyes turned red. They were the heroes of the Sheng family. Usually, they were high and mighty. In the Tianqian region, they were the kings. Even if they went to some high-tier empires, the ancestors and emperors of those high-tier empires would have to be respectful in front of them. Since when did anyone dare to scold them? He even dared to call them animals in front of so many people. Their killing intent was almost out of control. "Ah, I can't take it anymore. Little bastard, I want to challenge you. Do you dare to accept my challenge?" A hero of the Sheng family roared. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He immediately looked at the young man and said, "You want to challenge me? Do you have any wind attribute intent crystals? If you don't bother me." Lu Ming waved his hand with an impatient expression. "Wind attribute intent crystals? I'll borrow it." The young man gritted his teeth and asked the people around him to lend it to him. Many people had to give face to the heroes of the Sheng family. Very quickly, this person managed to borrow 20 wind attribute intent crystals. "Now, I have 20 wind attribute intent crystals. Do you dare to accept my challenge?" the young man shouted. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and the smile on his lips widened. "Oh, fine, I agree to fight you." As soon as these words came out, there was an uproar. Lu Ming actually accepted Sheng Fei's challenge? Haha, he's finished. He probably doesn't know Sheng Fei's cultivation. Sheng Fei has already reached the early stage of Lever 6 Martial King realm. Sheng Chuan can't even withstand a single blow from Sheng Fei. That's right. Lu Ming's combat strength is only slightly higher than Sheng Chuan's. He's dead. I'll have to spit out everything I've just taken. Ha ha ha. Hearing Lu Ming's agreement, Sheng Fei was overjoyed. In a flash, he went up to the Divine Guard's battle platform. Even within the no-fly zone of Tianqian City, it still appeared to be very light. Sheng Fei ascended the Divine Guard's battle platform and quickly appeared in front of Lu Ming. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Ha ha, Lu Ming, you shouldn't have accepted my challenge. It's too late to regret it now. Sheng Fei laughed. Just now, Sheng Chuan seemed to be so arrogant. In the end, he still cried for his parents. Lu Ming pursed his lips. Below the fighting ring, Sheng Chuan, who was recuperating, almost vomited blood. Who was crying for their parents? He was just roaring angrily just now. He was not crying for his parents. Lu Ming was just spouting nonsense. If word of this got out, he would not be able to survive. Don't compare me to that good-for-nothing Sheng Chuan, Sheng Fei sneered. In my eyes, you are all trash. Lu Ming said indifferently. Below the fighting ring, Sheng Chuan was trembling. He was shouting in his heart, if you want to fight, then fight. Don't always drag me into it. I'm already miserable enough. You're looking for death, Sheng Fei bellowed. His killing intent was extremely cold. A terrifying aura burst out from his body. At the same time, a powerful wind concept spread out from him. It was as if a force 12 wind was blowing in the world. The strength of his aura was several times stronger than that of the Holy River. Sheng Fei has comprehended the creation of wind. His moves are as fast as lightning and his attacks are like a storm. His unrivaled. With Lu Ming's combat strength, I don't think he can withstand 10 moves. 10 moves? It'll be good enough if he can withstand 3 moves. I reckon that Lu Ming must be regretting his decision now. He probably didn't expect Sheng Fei to be so powerful. In the surroundings, many people were discussing and expressing their own opinions. Buzz. A long, thin sword appeared in Sheng Fei's hand. Die. Sheng Fei's body moved and he made his move. Whoosh. Whoosh. In an instant, countless sword chi burst out from Sheng Fei's hands, covering the entire sky and earth, sweeping toward Lu Ming. It was too fast. Lu Ming is finished. Many people thought. However, in the next moment, Lu Ming's figure moved. His figure flickered continuously, shuttling back and forth between the sword chi that filled the sky, trying his best to avoid them. Although it was very dangerous, Lu Ming managed to avoid them one by one. Many people were dumbfounded. Nest, I know. Lu Ming has also comprehended the concept of wind. That's why he was able to avoid it. It can't be. I saw that his thunder will had already reached level 1 lower tier. Could it be that he has also comprehended the wind will and condensed will runes? That's terrifying. Lu Ming's body exuded the concept of wind as he sensed the changes in the wind around him. Although his wind concept was not as profound as Sheng Fei's, it was enough to avoid the sword chi. Then I'll use my strength to defeat you. Die. Sheng Fei shouted coldly, and the sword chi that filled the sky disappeared instantly. Whoosh. The sword chi that filled the sky seemed to have condensed into a ray of crystal-clear green sword chi. It instantly pierced through the void and stabbed toward Lu Ming. He wanted to crush Lu Ming with his powerful cultivation of Lever 6 Martial King Realm. Lu Ming's eyes flashed and he thrust his spear. Clang. The tip of the spear and the tip of the sword collided. Instantly, sword chi and spear radiance burst out in all directions. Sheng Fei's body trembled, and his expression changed drastically. He took a dozen steps back. Of course, Lu Ming also took more than 10 steps back symbolically. In the eyes of outsiders, it was a peaceful life. Whoosh. The entire place was in an uproar. Lu Ming had actually blocked Sheng Fei's attack in a head-on attack. How was this possible? What was going on? Wasn't Lu Ming only a little stronger than Sheng Chuan just now? How could he block Sheng Fei's attack now? He's hiding his strength. Lu Ming definitely hid his strength just now. Someone shouted. Everyone came to a sudden realization. Yes, that was the only possibility. Lu Ming had actually hidden his ability just now. What did he want to do? Could it be that he wanted to lure Saint down here to earn intent crystals? Some quick-witted people had already thought of this, and they couldn't help but be stunned. Lu Ming was extremely bold. He actually used this method to earn the esoteric crystals of the Sheng family's heroes. This. Among the crowd, Sheng Yao and Sheng Wushuang were the most shocked. This was because a few months ago, when they were in the Eastern Palace, Lu Ming was far from being this powerful. It had only been a short while and he had already reached this level. He was simply a monster. Especially Sheng Wushuang, who was almost scared to death. When Lu Ming had first joined the Detian Divine Guards, he had not even been a half-step king. At that time, he could have completely crushed Lu Ming with his strength. But now, he was not even fit to carry Lu Ming's shoes. Why is it like this? Why is it like this? Sheng Wushuang started to doubt his life. Chapter 539. 539 One person challenging an entire clan. This is your strength. It's not much. Lu Ming looked at Sheng Fei and smiled faintly. Die. Sheng Fei bellowed, suppressing the shock in his heart as he charged at Lu Ming. Lu Ming held his spear and charged forward, fighting with Sheng Fei. The two of them seemed to be in a stalemate, and their battle was extremely intense. Then, just like the battle with Sheng Chuan earlier, Lu Ming slowly gained the upper hand after a few dozen moves. Then, after a few dozen moves, Lu Ming defeated Sheng Fei with great difficulty, causing him to vomit blood. Everyone was dumbfounded. Lu Ming actually won again. You've lost. Hand over the intent crystals. Lu Ming looked at Sheng Fei indifferently. Sheng Fei roared in his heart. He really didn't want to hand it over, but when he thought of Sheng Chuan's fate, he shuddered. He could only grit his teeth and hand over 20 intent crystals. Lu Ming kept it happily, not forgetting to mumble, "What heroes of the Sheng family? They're all trash." Of course, he didn't lower his voice and it spread far and wide. Immediately, the people of the Sheng family were in an uproar. This bastard is too arrogant. Die, I want him to die. Damn it, who's going to kill him? Some young heroes of the Sheng family roared in anger. Even some of the older generation were so angry that their eyes turned red. However, no one came out to challenge Lu Ming. Lu Ming's combat strength was too strange. When he was fighting Sheng Chuan, he seemed to be only a little stronger than Sheng Chuan. However, after the battle with Sheng Fei, his combat strength increased rapidly and he was a little stronger than Sheng Fei. None of them could tell if Lu Ming was still hiding his abilities. Now, Lu Ming was simply unfathomable in their hearts. It turns out that the so-called heroes of the Sheng family are just cowardly rat. Lu Ming sneered. Little bastard, what did you say? Say that again. The Sheng family's heroes were furious. Isn't it? If you don't want to challenge me, then fine, I'll challenge you now. Lu Ming pointed his spear in the direction of the young men from the Sheng family. His fighting spirit soared as he shouted, "Now, I'll challenge you all. All of you, come at me together. Come at me together." The short 6 words were like a storm that swept through the entire scene. The crowd around the Divine Guard's battle stage was in an uproar. Lu Ming had actually taken the initiative to challenge them. He had even challenged all of the Sheng family's heroes at once. Crazy, he was crazy. There were at least 100 young geniuses from the Sheng family present. There were also over 20 king tiers above the lower tier. Lu Ming wanted to challenge all the Sheng family's young men by himself. This was an insult, a blatant insult. He was looking down on the many heroes of the Sheng family. Damn it, this brat should die. Arrogant and ignorant. I'm going to kill him. The heroes of the Sheng family roared in anger. What's wrong? You only know how to scream. Don't you dare to go on stage. Lu Ming continued to point his long spear at the young men and provoked them. There was a hint of madness in his eyes. The reason why Lu Ming had repeatedly provoked the Sheng family today was to establish his might. That's right, show your might. Ever since he came to Tianqian City, he had been repeatedly provoked by the Sheng family. Wherever he went, the Sheng family would provoke him. Lu Ming was already annoyed. Since that was the case, he might as well go all out. He had displayed his power and intimidated the Shung family. In this way, the Shung family would surely calm down for a period of time. Lu Ming took advantage of this period of time to improve his cultivation. This was Lu Ming's purpose. They were already mortal enemies anyway, so he wasn't afraid of offending them. Since you're looking for death, we'll fulfill your wish. Brothers, let's go and teach him a good lesson. One of the Shung family's heroes bellowed and rushed towards the Divine Guard's fighting stage at top speed. In a few breaths, he had covered a distance of 10 miles and appeared in front of Lu Ming. He didn't even try to hide his aura. Late Lever 6 Martial King Realm. He was much stronger than Shung Fei. Go, go, buzz, buzz. The sound of the air being torn could be heard from all directions. The young men of the Shung family rushed up to the fighting ring and surrounded Lu Ming. 19 people. A total of 19 people. All of them were at least Lever 4 Martial King Realm, and all of them were kings of the lower tier. As for those below the level of a lower tier king, there was no need for them to come up as they did not pose much of a threat to Lu Ming. And the two of us. With 2 long howls, 2 more young men from the crowd rushed up to the fighting ring. One of them was wearing a red robe, while the other was wearing a green robe. The 2 of them were extremely fast. In an instant, they had rushed up to the fighting ring, and the aura they emitted was extremely terrifying. The peak of Lever 6 Martial King Realm, it's Sheng Chong and Sheng Lang, someone exclaimed. I heard that the 2 of them started their closed-door cultivation a few months ago, trying to break through to the late-stage king level. I didn't expect them to come out now. Looks like he hasn't succeeded. He's still at the initial king tier, but he's only 1 step away from the late-stage king tier. Discussions could be heard all around. On the fighting ring, the other heroes of the Shung family were also overjoyed to see the 2. I didn't expect that someone would look down on the Shung family and provoke us after I've only been in seclusion for a few months. He deserves to die 10,000 times. The blue-robed young man, Sheng Chong, said coldly as his eyes opened and closed like huge waves. That's good. Today is a good day to show off our might. Don't let others think that our Shung family has no one else. The holy wolf's eyes flashed with a fierce light, like a wild beast. A total of 21 people surrounded Lu Ming. Their combined aura was extremely terrifying. Are you all here yet? If you're all here, then let's start the battle. I'm too lazy to bet with you all on some intent crystals. Lu Ming said calmly. He looked calm as if he did not feel any pressure despite being surrounded by so many people. You're pretending to be relaxed. I'd like to see what kind of strength you have. Make your move. Sheng Chong shouted coldly. Boom. Boom. Instantly, the fighting ring went berserk. 21 auras soared into the sky and the 21 attacks converged, crushing toward Lu Ming. Yes, crushed. Lu Ming could not avoid it and could only take it head-on. He's dead. Lu Ming is dead for sure. Under this move, anyone below the level of a king tier can only die. Who can you blame for your own death? Do you really think that you can be so arrogant after defeating Sheng Fei and Sheng Chuan? Even if he has the combat strength of a peak Lever 6 Martial King, he's still going to die. Boom. At this moment, Lu Ming exploded. The second bloodline merged with his body, and his true yuan circulated to the extreme. At the same time, the fusion of the 3 intents erupted. An unimaginable spear light shot up into the sky. The spear radiance seemed to be able to pierce through the heavens and earth. Boom. The joint attack of 21 Shung family heroes was shattered by this spear light. Buzz. LNU. Lu Ming shouted, his long hair flying in the wind. The long spear in his hand grew to 1,000 meters long and swept out. A full moon appeared on the fighting ring. The moon was a move of the fire gun execution. However, with Lu Ming's current cultivation level, it displayed a terrifying power. Chapter 540. 540. Everyone was shocked. Bang! Bang! The heroes of the Shung family were all sent flying backward like sandbags. With Lu Ming at the center, the heroes of the Shung family were thrown backward and then glided along the fighting ring at a high speed. They glided for several miles before they stopped, blood spurting from their mouths. All of them were Lever 4 Martial King Realm martial artists, and they could not even withstand a single blow from Lu Ming. The Lever 5 Martial King Realm martial artists were also sent flying. They slid backward, but they did not fall to the ground. They could still stand firmly, but blood was flowing out of their mouths. Only the Lever 6 Martial King Realm martial artist was able to block the attack, but he was also forced to take dozens of steps back. Even Sheng Chong and Sheng Lang were forced to take 7 or 8 steps back. The encirclement of the Sheng family's heroes was shattered by Lu Ming's attack. Boom! Boom! Below the stage, countless people saw this scene and completely lost control of their emotions. Their auras exploded out, and their eyes widened as they roared. 3 types of concepts of heaven and earth. Lu Ming has comprehended 3 types of concepts of heaven and earth. 3 kinds of heaven and earth will, all condensed into will runes, and 2 of them have been cultivated to the initial level 1 realm. How did he do it? Impossible. Cultivating so many intents will create resistance between each other. How did he do it? How did it happen? He's too strong. The people from the Sheng family were no match for him at all. They were defeated in one move. He didn't even use his full strength just now. Otherwise, he would have killed Sheng Chuan and Sheng Fei in one move. So, he wasn't being arrogant. He had the ability to do so. I understand now, those soul-sealing jade plates, how did he get them? By plotting against others? This was completely obtained by him killing the corpse guards. He completely has this strength. Many people around them were shouting. They couldn't control their excitement. They didn't even care if their words would offend the Sheng family. It was too shocking. Why is it like this? Sacred Glory's old eyes almost popped out of their sockets. The aura from his body spread uncontrollably, and many people around him retreated in shock. However, he did not feel anything at all. His eyes were fixed on Lu Ming, full of disbelief. 3 kinds of heaven and earth intent realms, all. He had cultivated intent runes and 2 types of level 1 lower tier. Why? Sheng Wushuang seemed to have lost his soul. He stared at Lu Ming and kept muttering. He found it hard to accept all this. In the past, he had mocked Lu Ming for cultivating multiple concepts at the same time and that he would never achieve anything. However, he had not condensed an intent rune when he cultivated 1 intent. Lu Ming, on the other hand, cultivated 3 intents and had condensed intent runes. 2 of them had even reached level 1 lower tier. Compared to Lu Ming, he was simply trash. No, he could not even be compared to trash. He was like dung. In this instant, his heart of martial arts collapsed. The aura on his body fluctuated, and his eyes were listless. During this period of time, Lu Ming had dealt him a series of blows. Now, just a moment ago, this blow had finally reached its peak and shattered his heart of martial arts. Once the heart of martial arts was broken, it would be difficult for him to advance further in martial arts. In other words, Sheng Wushuang would never be able to break through to the Martial King realm. It was ridiculous. Back then, he said that Lu Ming would never be able to break through to the Martial King realm. Now, he was the one who had to accept the truth. You're really trash. On the side, Sheng Yao noticed Sheng Wushuang's condition and shouted coldly. In the fighting ring, Sheng Chong, Sheng Lang, and the others were also shocked. 1 move. Lu Ming had only used 1 move, but the power contained in that move was too terrifying. It far exceeded the peak of the 6th level Martial King realm. You want to cripple me with just this bit of strength? Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand, his long hair flying in the wind, his aura wild. Lu Ming, you're quite capable indeed. How about this? Let's call this a draw. Sheng Chong looked at Lu Ming and shouted with a hint of fear in his eyes. The Sheng family was completely doomed in this battle. However, if it ended in a draw, it would be better for the Sheng family's reputation. In the surroundings, some people revealed looks of disdain. It was obvious that Sheng Chong was afraid. A draw? Haha, do you think you have the right to fight me to a draw? Lu Ming laughed and walked towards Sheng Chong, Sheng Lang, and the rest with his spear in hand. Lu Ming, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Sheng Chong roared and retreated. Nonsense, either admit defeat or fight. Lu Ming berated. Lu Ming, that's enough. Die. Holy Light shouted coldly, his eyes cold. Old man, is it your turn to interject on the Divine Guard battle platform? Lu Ming did not even turn his head and scolded him directly. You. Sheng Yarrow was a peak king and an elder of the Emperor Sky Divine Palace. When had he ever been scolded by a junior like this? He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Lu Ming did not stop and walked toward Sheng Chong and the rest. Damn it, let's attack together, Sheng Chong bellowed. He knew that he could not avoid this battle. There was only one battle. If they didn't even dare to fight and admitted defeat, they would definitely not become a laughingstock. They would also be punished by the Sheng family. Kill. Kill. Sheng Chong, Sheng Lang, and the others roared and unleashed their full power. A green divine bird flew above Sheng Chong's head. The will of wind spread out, and a gale swept out. On top of the sacred wolf's head was a giant wolf. On the giant wolf's body, raging flames soared into the sky, and the concept of fire covered the sky. There were also a few other Lever 6 and Lever 5 Martial King Realm experts. In total, there were 10 of them. Kill. 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 The 10 attacks were aimed at Lu Ming from different angles. 10,000 dragon kill. Lu Ming thrust his spear forward and dozens of three-colored true dragons flew out, pouncing on the 10 Sheng family heroes. As for Lu Ming, he took a step forward and rushed towards Sheng Chong and Sheng Lang. Buzz! The huge spear radiance, thicker than a water tank, was blasted toward the two of them. The two of them were shocked and tried to block it with their ultimate moves, but it was useless. They were hit by the huge spear radiance and were sent flying backward with blood spurting out of their mouths. He flew out several miles before he finally stabilized his body. Below the fighting ring, countless people looked at Lu Ming's figure on the fighting ring in shock. At that moment, Lu Ming was like an invincible god of war. He was undefeatable. A peerless genius. There was only one thought in everyone's mind. Perhaps, in another 3 to 5 years, Lu Ming will be on the list of top 1,000 talent. I think so too. As long as Lu Ming maintains this momentum, he'll be on the list of top 1,000 talents in 3 years or 5 years at most. In that case, we'll have 2 geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents in the Tianxian region. Below the stage, some people were discussing in low voices. All of you, just admit defeat. Lu Ming stared at Sheng Chong and Sheng Lang. You want us to admit defeat? Impossible. Lu Ming, unless you throw us out of the Divine Guard's fighting ring, don't even think about us admitting defeat. The sacred wolf shouted. At least you have some backbone. I'll fulfill your wish then. Lu Ming strode forward. Chapter 541. 541 The Sacred Star. The crowd stared at the fighting ring. They felt that the battle was about to end. At this moment, a cold voice came from the distance. Lu Ming, you dare? As soon as he finished speaking, a beam of divine light shot over from the distance. The speed of the divine light was too fast. It crossed the void in an instant and shot towards the space between Lu Ming's eyebrows. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. He could sense that this beam of divine light contained a terrifying power and killing intent. His body instantly tensed up, and all the hair on his body stood on end. This was an instinctive reaction. He felt a fatal threat from this divine light. Without any hesitation, he retreated. At the same time, his 9-dragon bloodline burst out, and the devouring power filled the surroundings. The vital essence in his body circulated to the extreme, and the 3 heaven and earth realms merged together and surged toward the spear. True Dragon Strike. He thrust his spear forward, and a huge 3-colored true dragon flew out and collided with the divine light. Boom! A heaven-shaking boom rang out as the divine light pierced through the 3-colored true dragon. The 3 intents of heaven and earth that it contained also collapsed. Whoosh! The divine light did not stop and continued to stab Lu Ming. Gakudo Path Attack. At the critical moment, Lu Ming stopped his retreat. He became one with the spear and turned into a spear ray, piercing forward. Boom! The tip of the spear accurately pierced the divine light. In an instant, Lu Ming felt a terrifying force surging towards him along the long spear. Lu Ming felt as if he had been hit by a huge hammer. His body slid back along the fighting ring in a frenzy. It kept sliding for several miles before it stopped. He only felt the blood in his entire body surging, and the arm holding the spear trembled slightly. Catcher! At this moment, the tip of the demon-subduing spear made a cracking sound and cracks appeared on it. Then, the cracks grew more and more. Finally, with a bang, the tip of the demon-subduing spear exploded into pieces and scattered on the ground. The demon-subduing spear finally could not withstand Lu Ming's powerful strength and the bombardment of the divine light. It exploded. However, Lu Ming had successfully blocked the divine light. Who is it? Lu Ming looked in the direction of the divine light. Not only him, at this moment, everyone also looked in that direction. A slender figure wearing a 7-star robe with his hands behind his back was approaching step by step. Everyone's hearts trembled. Tianqian City had a no-fly zone, so ordinary kings couldn't walk in the air. Only peak-tier kings could barely walk in the air. This person was very young, about 24 or 25 years old. His eyebrows were like swords, his eyes were like stars, and he was extremely handsome. The light of the stars surrounded his body, making him look like a god who had descended to the world. The sacred constellation, it's the sacred constellation. Someone roared. It's over. Lu Ming is finished. I didn't expect that the sacred constellation would be attracted here. This time, Lu Ming is really finished. Heavens, the sacred constellation's cultivation seems to have improved. He can actually walk in the air. Could he have already broken through to the peak king tier? Many people were shocked. A peak tier king at such a young age was simply too shocking. That's not right. The sacred constellation has not broken through to peak king tier. It should still be at the peak of the 9th level martial king realm, still at the level of a king tier of the upper tier. However, his strength is too strong, no weaker than a peak king tier. That's why he can walk in the air, a white-haired old man explained. At the scene, there were other elders besides the elders from Shengyao. This white-haired old man was one of them. Oh, so that's how it is, that's still amazing. The others sighed. How old was the sacred constellation? He was only 25 years old, but he was already at the peak lever 9 martial king realm. Did that mean that he had the chance to open the spiritual ocean and become a mighty warrior before the age of 30? Countless gazes were fixed on the young man in the sky. Holy star! Lu Ming's eyes were bright as he stared at the sacred constellation. Ever since he came to Tianqian City, Lu Ming had heard this name many times. Saint Xingchen, the #1 genius of the Tianqian region and a top talent on the list of top 1,000 talents in the Eastern Barren Territory, was the idol of many young geniuses in the Tianqian region. The other so-called geniuses of the Tianqian region were like candlelight and the bright moon in front of the holy star. They couldn't be compared. The holy star stepped on the air and came to the sky above the divine guard fighting ring. It looked down at Lu Ming, and in its eyes, there seemed to be stars shining. Young Master Xingchen, when Sheng Chong, Sheng Lang, and the rest saw Lu Ming, they hurriedly saluted him. Their faces were filled with apprehension, as if they were very afraid of the holy star. The sacred constellation was the successor of the Sheng family. In the future, he would definitely be in charge of the Sheng family. It could be said that their fates were all under the control of the sacred constellation. They were naturally afraid of the holy star. Holy constellation only glanced at them indifferently, expressionless, and said indifferently, "All of you, retreat and recuperate." Yes, yes. Sheng Chong and the rest helped each other down the fighting ring as if they had been granted amnesty. After that, the holy star's gaze turned to Lu Ming again. "You're Lu Ming. You've got guts to hurt so many people from the Sheng family," Saint Xingchen said indifferently. No emotions could be heard in his voice. "It's just a fair fight on the Divine Guard battle platform," Lu Ming said. Hee hee. Sheng Xingchen chuckled and said, "You're not bad. I just happen to need a stableman to lead the horses. You can report to work as a stableman for 3 years first. If you perform well, you'll naturally be promoted. Saint Starlight stood in the air with his hands behind his back. His voice wasn't loud, but it was filled with a commanding tone, as if this matter had already been decided. Many people in the surroundings were shocked. They had never expected that the sacred constellation would let Lu Ming off so easily. He even asked Lu Ming to be his groom. In the eyes of many people, being able to become a coachman for the holy constellation was a matter of supreme glory. He was a trusted aide of the holy constellation, and his status would rise with the tide. A casual word from him would cause many emperors of large countries to be in fear and revere. Moreover, he might even receive guidance from the holy star. What an honor this was! In the eyes of many, this was not a punishment, but a reward. It seems that Lu Ming's talent has been valued by the holy star. Someone sighed. Detestable. Sheng Wushuang gritted his teeth. He was extremely jealous of Lu Ming. If this opportunity were to fall into his hands, he would wake up smiling even in his dreams. Now, this opportunity fell on Lu Ming. Do you think Lu Ming will agree? Someone asked in low voice. Nonsense, of course he'd agree. Who's the holy star? Lu Ming is a genius on the list of top 1,000 talents. Although he's very talented, I estimate that there's still a huge gap between him and the holy star. It's not bad that he can become a groom for the holy star. That's right. If he didn't agree, the holy constellation definitely wouldn't let him off. In such a situation, he would definitely agree. That's right, being a stableman for the holy constellation isn't something to be ashamed of. Many people in the surroundings were making guesses out of curiosity. However, no one noticed that the corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled into a disdainful smile. Chapter 542. 542 Meeting Mulan again. Sacred constellation, right? There was a faint smile on Lu Ming's face as he stared at the sacred constellation. At this moment, the entire place quieted down. Everyone looked at Lu Ming to see how he would answer. Holy Star, I think you're not bad either. My family's courtyard is lacking a gatekeeper. Pack up and quickly go report. A clear voice came out of Lu Ming's mouth, but it was like a storm that swept the entire scene. Everyone was stunned. After a long while, there was a loud noise. Lu Ming, he rejected it. Not only did he refuse, he even asked the sacred constellation to guard the door for him. Heavens, how dare he! This is just adding fuel to the fire. Not only did he refuse, but he also asked the holy constellation to guard his door. Does he have the qualifications? All around, there was a wave of excited discussion. How dare you, Lu Ming? How dare you speak to the young master of the Sheng family like that? The young master of Xingchen is looking up to you by letting you be his coachman. Many people seek knowledge but can't get it. You actually dare to speak like this. You're simply arrogant, ignorant, and stubborn. On the side, Sacred Glory scolded loudly. As for Sheng Wushuang, he was about to die from laughter. He was overjoyed. He was really afraid that Lu Ming would agree to it. You rejected it. Saint Constellation's face was still calm, and no expression could be seen as he asked indifferently. Nonsense. It's their business if the others are willing to be your dogs, but why would I, Lu Ming, do that? In this world, no one can make me a horse groom, including you, Holy Star. Lu Ming said loudly. As soon as this remark came out, it caused a wave of curses for a short time. Nest, how ignorant and arrogant. Who does he think he is? You're a little talented, but you really think you're number one in the world. How ridiculous. He's comparing himself to the sacred constellation. Who does he think he is? What right does he have to be mentioned in the same breath as the young master of Xingchen? At this moment, Holy Star's expression finally turned cold. With a wave of his hand, as if there was a huge magical power, the entire scene immediately quieted down. I gave you a chance, but you didn't know how to cherish it. Since that's the case, I'll cripple you. A cold voice came out of Sheng Xingchen's mouth. Boom. In the next moment, the starlight on the holy constellation burned like a flame, illuminating the entire sky. This is Star Intent Realm. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. In the world, other than the 9 common concepts of heaven and earth such as wind, fire, and thunder, there were also many special concepts. However, these special concepts were usually extremely difficult to comprehend, but their power was usually extremely powerful. The Star Intent Realm was such a special intent realm. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In the next moment, the light of the stars condensed into dozens of long swords. They pierced through the air and aimed at Lu Ming's vital parts. Wherever the stars passed, terrifying sonic booms were created. You can't take it head-on. Lu Ming's pupils suddenly constricted. The sacred constellation was too powerful, and it was not something he could resist at all. Retreat. Without hesitation, Lu Ming turned around and used the 9 dragons' heaven trampling steps. He took a step forward and retreated at an extreme speed. His speed was terrifying. "You still want to leave in front of me?" Sheng Xingchen shouted. The starlight on his body became even more dazzling. At the same time, above Lu Ming's head, streams of starlight fell from the sky, condensing into a huge hand that pressed down on Lu Ming. This huge hand seemed to have appeared out of thin air above Lu Ming's head. He could not avoid it. "Block it," Lu Ming growled. 2 types of blood vessels burst forth and a lower lever 5 spear appeared in his hand. His vital essence circulated wildly and 3 types of concepts burst forth. He thrust the spear at the star hand. Boom! With a deafening boom, Lu Ming's body fell from the sky like a meteorite. He crashed heavily at the edge of the fighting ring and coughed up blood. Bang! The lower lever 5 spear in Lu Ming's hands shattered into pieces. A mantis trying to block a car, overestimating your own strength. It's just a meaningless struggle. Holy Star's eyes were indifferent. He stood in the void with his hands behind his back, looking down at Lu Ming from above, like an emperor who ruled over everything. "Holy Star, what the hell are you pretending for? Do you really think you're a heaven's favorite who can look down on everything? You're only ranked 998th on the list of top 1,000 talents, and there are a lot of people who are stronger than you. What are you so arrogant for? Also, how old are you? You're 5 years older than me. What's there to be proud of? If I cultivate for another 5 years, I can defeat you with 1 finger." Lu Ming roared. He stood up straight and stared at the sacred constellation with bright eyes. His words made many people's eyes light up. Indeed, how old was Lu Ming now? At the age of the sacred constellation, it would be too exaggerated to say that a finger could suppress the sacred constellation, but it might not necessarily be unable to reach the height of the sacred constellation. Previously, everyone had witnessed Lu Ming's combat strength and talent. Some people felt that Lu Ming had the potential to be on the list of top 1,000 talents. "You're quite self-confident. On the path of martial arts, 1 step is stronger than the other. You will never be my opponent. Hehe, I'm not interested. So, I'll just cripple you first." A cold voice came out of Sheng Xingchen's mouth. Starlight surged around him, and he was about to launch the next wave of attack. "It seems that I can only use the Thunder Cauldron. With my current cultivation, I can definitely kill the sacred constellation with a single strike if I use the Thunder Cauldron. However, I've also lost the power to resist. But now, I have no choice." Lu Ming's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. He immediately focused his mind and communicated with the lightning cauldron. Between Lu Ming's brows, a faint light flickered with wisps of lightning energy. He could control the lightning cauldron at any time to deliver a fatal blow. "Stop!" At this moment, a soft shout was heard. "Gah!" Immediately after, a bird's cry was heard. Everyone saw a large green eagle flying over at high speed. 2 figures were standing on the eagle. Mu Xiuyuan and senior sister Mu Lan. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. The 2 people on the eagle's back were Mu Lan and Mu Xiuyuan. "That's Miss Mu Lan. What is Miss Mu Lan doing here?" Many people were curious. Sacred Constellation's eyes flickered slightly, and the starlight on his body also calmed down, not continuing to attack. "Gah!" The condor screeched, and in the next moment, It appeared in the sky above the divine guard fighting ring. Mu Lan and Mu Shouyuan jumped down from the eagle's back and appeared on the divine guard fighting ring. Lu Ming, are you all right? Mu Lan immediately walked toward Lu Ming with a look of concern in her eyes. It's just a small injury. I'm fine. Senior sister Mu Lan, it's been a long time since we last met. Lu Ming smiled faintly. It had been more than a year since he last saw Mu Lan. She had become more mature and charming. The curves on her body were even more shocking. One look at her and one would be unable to suppress the urge in their heart. Countless eyes were fixed on Mu Lan from all around. It's been a long time indeed. Lu Ming, I didn't expect you to come this far. You didn't disappoint me. Mu Lan revealed a faint smile. Elian get out of the way. This brat has injured many of our Sheng family's heroes. He's too arrogant. Let me cripple this brat first. Holy Constellation coldly spoke. Chapter 543. 543 The Battle in Half a Year. The moment Mu Lan arrived, she was chatting and laughing with Lu Ming as if there was no one else around. This made the murderous intent in his heart surge. Sacred Constellation, let him go. Let Lu Ming go. Mu Lan then turned around and looked at the Sacred Constellation. Eleanor, what did you just say? Holy Constellation's face darkened, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Sacred Constellation, with me here today, don't even think about harming a single hair on his head, Mu Lan said. Mu Lan. The killing intent in Sheng Xingchen's eyes was like a storm. Mu Lan was his fiancée from the Sacred Constellation. However, she was now protecting another man in front of everyone. Where was his face now? At this moment, the killing intent in the heart of the Sacred Constellation towards Lu Ming had not weakened. Instead, it had become stronger. Originally, I only wanted to cripple him. But now, he must die. A cold and emotionless voice came out of Sheng Xingchen's mouth. You dare! Mu Lan stood in front of Lu Ming. At this moment, the surrounding audience looked at each other. Some quick-witted ones had already noticed something and revealed strange expressions. Mu Lan, you think you can stop me? Get out of my way. With a wave of Sacred Constellation's hand, starlight burst forth like ribbons of light, entangling Mu Lan and Mu Shouyuan. Boom! Boom! Mu Lan and Mu Shouyuan released their powerful auras. After not seeing each other for a while, Mu Lan had already reached the Martial King Realm, and Mu Shouyuan had also reached the peak of the 6th level of the Martial King Realm. However, it was all in vain. Under the starlight of the Sacred Constellation, he had no power to resist at all. He was directly entangled by the starlight and pulled to the side of the Sacred Constellation. Senior sister Mu Lan, Lu Ming roared. Lu Ming. Mu Lan also shouted. Lu Ming, let's see who can save you now. Die. Under the pressure of the sacred stars, there was only cold killing intent. Previously, he had thought that Lu Ming was talented and wanted to take him in for his own use. Now, he was determined to kill him. Boom. A cold killing intent and a powerful aura burst out from Sheng Xingchen's body. He clenched his fist in the air and a starry sword appeared in his hand. It's still not certain who will live and who will die on the holy star. Lu Ming's eyes were also extremely cold as he stared at the Sacred Constellation. Wisps of lightning swam between his eyebrows. You! Holy Star sneered contemptuously. He took a step forward, and the Divine Guard's battle platform rumbled violently. Lu Ming's eyes shone brightly, and the ruthlessness in his eyes intensified. He knew that even if he could kill the Sacred Constellation with the Thunder Cauldron, he would not be able to survive. The other members of the Sheng family would not let him go. Furthermore, the secret of the Thunder Cauldron would be exposed. But now, he had no other choice. Stop. Holy Star, I promise you. As long as you let Lu Ming go, I promise to marry you a year later. At this moment, Mu Lan shouted. Holy Constellation's figure paused and stopped. He then turned around and looked at Mu Lan. It seems that this kid really has some weight in your heart. You don't have to worry about that. I promise to marry you in a year's time. As long as you let Lu Ming go, I'd rather die than marry you if you kill him, Mu Lan said. Senior sister Mulan, you can't. Lu Ming roared. However, Mulan ignored Lu Ming. She only stared at the sacred constellation. Okay, I promise you, but not 1 year later, but half a year later. After half a year, you and I get married, and I'll let this kid go. Holy Star said coldly. Half a year. Mulan gritted her teeth. She glanced at Lu Ming and said, all right, I promise you. Seeing that Mulan had agreed, Sacred Constellation waved its hand, and the starlight that had wrapped around Mulan and Mu Shuyuan dissipated. The two of them regained their freedom. Once the two of them regained their freedom, they walked toward Lu Ming. Senior sister Mulan, why did you agree to him? He might not be able to kill me, Lu Ming said, his heart full of unwillingness. Mulan smiled faintly. She thought that Lu Ming was speaking in a fit of anger and did not take it to heart. Lu Ming, we're engaged after all. Perhaps this is fate. I've always wanted to escape but I can't. A long sigh sounded softly. Giggle. Lu Ming clenched his fists so tightly that cracking sounds could be heard. He knew that Mulan was doing this all because of him. Otherwise, with Mulan's personality, she would never agree to it. Lu Ming, with Eleanor pleading for you today, I'll spare your life. Sheng Xingchen said coldly. After that, he revealed a look of contempt and continued, Lu Ming, do you think you're worthy of being mentioned in the same breath as me? You can only hide behind women. With that, he smiled contemptuously and turned to leave. At this moment, Lu Ming's voice was heard. Holy Star, since that's the case, do you dare to accept my challenge? Whoosh. Lu Ming's voice was like a storm, sweeping through the entire scene again. Many people were dumbfounded. What? What did I just hear? Lu Ming actually wants to challenge the sacred constellation? He's so bold. He's looking for death. Arrogant and conceited. This is what you call arrogant and conceited. The entire place burst into an earth-shattering uproar. It had been a few years since anyone from the younger generation in the Tianxian region had dared to challenge the sacred constellation. You want to challenge me? Holy Constellation turned around and asked. Even he was a little surprised. That's right. Half a year from now, you and I will fight. Do you dare? Lu Ming said loudly. Half a year later. The corners of Sacred Constellation's mouth curled into a cold smile. He glanced at Mulan and said, do you really think that you can catch up to me in half a year? Fight me. You don't need to worry about this. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, you can't. You don't have to. Mulan said anxiously. He knew that the reason why Lu Ming chose to challenge the sacred constellation in half a year's time was definitely related to her. However, given Lu Ming's cultivation base, he would not be a match for the sacred constellation in half a year. If Lu Ming could fight above his level, so could the sacred constellation. If Lu Ming could improve, the sacred constellation would also improve continuously. It was almost impossible to catch up to Holy Constellation in just half a year. It was not that she did not have confidence in Lu Ming. She was very confident in him. She believed that in a few years, Lu Ming would definitely be able to catch up to the sacred constellation. However, half a year was too short. Lu Ming waved his hand and interrupted Mulan. Senior sister Mulan, this battle is inevitable. Even if it's not for you, I'm going to pay you back for the humiliation I've suffered today. Lu Ming's voice was firm and unquestionable. Sacred constellation, just one word. Do you dare? Lu Ming's eyes were bright as he stared at the holy star. All right, I promise you. Half a year later, I will let you know what despair is. You will never be able to catch up to my footsteps. Sacred Constellation's confident voice reverberated throughout the entire area. The scene was boiling with excitement. The Holy Constellation had actually accepted Lu Ming's challenge. The two of them would fight half a year later. Moreover, this battle was very interesting. If the Sacred Constellation was defeated, the wedding date between him and Mulan would definitely be affected, or even cancelled. If Lu Ming was defeated, the Holy Star would carry the momentum of victory and marry Mulan. From now on, the Tianxian region would truly be the world of the Sacred Constellation. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.